now, broadcasting from the jungles of Southeast Asia, it is time for the Ed Namrock Podcast.
Isn't that incredible?
Right?
It's incredible. All right, folks.
Did you write that song?
Yeah, it was one of the instrumentals, believe it or not, that I had pitched to, you know, that show Shameless?
Yeah.
We had a pitch session with NARAP, N-A-R-A-P, for music placements for that television show. And you know what's crazy? I was in the same room with people pitching as, what's his name from Alice in Chains, the new lead singer?
Oh,
forget
wow.
his name. He was in there. The guy that does all the WWE music, I guess, is not doing a lot of the composing anymore because they're outsourcing the music, or they're buying licenses and syncs from bands and shit like that. But yeah, dude, it's
That's
wow.
pretty dope.
It's like I still have a good catalog, but like I haven't done music in a while, man. The only music I do is with steel, rah, 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 rah.
Live band karaoke.
I know. Well, yeah, I can't do the jungle.
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, welcome to another episode of the Ed Namrock Podcast. Hey, before I start the podcast, I need to actually plug my buddy's film that he was bragging about so much.
Ooh, somebody got kicked out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whit Petrell podcast.
Wow.
Oh.
I hit the back button like a dummy. Wow.
I was about to do my own podcast,
dude.
right
Rookie
now.
mistake. So check this out. His film, he was telling me about it because his name's Jose Rossetti. And he was in, where the hell was he? He was in Cambodia filming something. He wouldn't tell me what it was. And then he gets on the podcast. We're talking about, we were breaking down the George Floyd murder, like frame by frame, which is crazy.
But he's like, I watched that one.
Yeah. He's come out of some pretty interesting shows. He was in The Walking Dead, Red Machete, the kind of like the spinoff and shit. I think he was the antagonist in that series. I didn't get to watch it, but anyway, the film is called Monsters of Man. So it's like some new age Terminator shit, man. It's fucking crazy. I'm gonna have to do a reaction to the trailer, but I wanted to plug it in so everyone knows it.
Cool.
But more so is they have an Indiegogo, and I believe the website to get all that information, I'm gonna paste it on the description here. It's called monstersofman.movie, and then there's a long URL. I can't really spell it out. That's an Indiegogo, and basically is to back up the film, pre-buy the movie, get exclusive, super informative, educational bonus videos and other cool extras. But go to www.monstersofman.movie to get all those perks, and stay tuned. I will be doing a reaction video to the trailer. But shout out to them. Shout out to Jose. Great job. You know what's funny? He was like, he's like, hey, you know, I've been doing those face swaps with the Reface app. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he's on one day you're gonna use my face, man. And I'm like, fuck, that's sheer determination, man. Because the minute I met him 7 years ago on set on a movie, I was doing sound mixing and being a boom operator. And he was just that guy. I don't know what it was, dude. Like he's aura, but from Arizona.
Okay.
So it's kind of the same concept, only they're desert people, so they're a little bit more like, they come to California, it's like paradise for them, dude.
And it's not that far.
Yeah. No, it's not. They're the same time zone, just like Oregon and Seattle, but I don't know, California's got their own shit. And speaking of California, Whit.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Oh my goodness. We meet again. Hey Manny, how'd you like that? How'd you like that Hardy Bros, the Havana Bros of me and you when we were once tag team champions of Main Street, man?
And
did you ever see it? Did you see it, Whit?
Did you? I didn't see that one. Did you?
Yeah, you know the Hardy Boys, right? Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Oh, yeah.
I put Manny's face on Jeff, the crazy one, and then I put my face on Matt. Yeah,
dude, you definitely have a talent for coming up with some pretty incredible face in the hole face swap videos.
Dude.
The best one, I swear. I laughed my ass off. I still laugh my ass off. You put my face on Lady Gaga. In what movie was that?
A Star is Born? Is it
Star
that
is
one?
Born. Oh my god, bro! I was like the ugliest looking woman. It was bad, but it was man.
You know what made it funny is the mannerisms of Lady Gaga in the film, and then just seeing your face on it. And I saw it, I'm like, I cannot unsee this shit. What is going on? I can't stop watching. And I was scrubbing through it like frame by frame, and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is terrifying. Jeez.
It's pretty bad.
But nonetheless, our state is, I don't want to say it's in shambles. It's not. However, you know as well as I do that there's a lot of people bailing on our state.
Yeah.
And I can call you a California native actually because you've been here for so damn long, and you've been adamant in this whole quote unquote Cal exit thing that at first I'm like, it's a phase. I mean, I'm like, maybe it'll get better. But now after seeing all the California propositions that are on the ballot this year in November, I'm like, okay, now it's getting kind of like, okay, now I'm starting to pay attention a little bit more, and I'm like, oh, right, what's going on here? So let's give people context first, because I don't think people understand what these are, what they signify. The only thing we gotta kind of like water it down and dilute it for people that. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, a lot of them are written so crazy that like we don't. Yeah. I mean, the average. I mean, even when I started voting and I went into the polls and I would look at. There were some times that when I was young, I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't do my research. I just went in there assuming that I'm going to read something and I'm going to vote on it. But sometimes they're just so well written. They're written to confuse you. So like nowadays. Like just in the last 2 days since we've been talking about this podcast, and I've been going over and really kind of, getting down to the nitty gritty. But it's still difficult to really understand if because there's pros and cons to everything. There are certain political parties that are for it and against it. It's. I don't like voting. Personally, I don't like voting for your party. And I know some people that go in and they're Republican, and it doesn't matter if they're going to vote whatever the Republican tells them to vote for. And same thing on the other side. I know Democrats that are like, I'm going to go in and vote for whatever Democrats tell me to vote for it. And I look at everything, and there's things that I'll vote on the left and the right because I feel like it benefits our state or our county or our school system or our whatever I'm voting on. Nowadays, you have to be well educated on it. And even after the studies that we've done in the past couple of days on what we have and what we're going to talk about, we could definitely lay down what it is, maybe give a couple different points of view, but really that's all we can do. And hopefully, if you get a little bit educated, I would say still do your due diligence and still go research, because we might not understand the bill in its entirety. So, but I mean, the fact that we're out here talking about it, I think that's a great thing.
Like for example, the best way for me to tell like a new voter that for some reason they always ask about the federal elections, and I'm like, look, I'm very orphaned with this stuff. I mean, I'm honest with them. I'm like, I've left that section of the ballot blank for the past 2 elections. And you know, shame on me. Yeah, shame on me. I vote on everything else that goes on in my home state. Yeah. But when it comes to that, I call it the popularity, the prom king and queen. Yeah. I choose not to participate in that section of the ballot. So they're kind of grow confused, like, you know, I don't favor each side. So what I tell them is this: look, where do you live? Oh, I live in Idaho. Okay, I live in New Mexico. I live in Arizona. I live in California. I live in Oregon. I live in Washington. Okay. I tell them, look at all the propositions that are going up for ballot, for voting in November for your home state. Yeah. And also, do not neglect your district. And they're like, district? I'm like, yes, everyone is in a district. We have our district representative. Yeah. That's a lot of that. That's where I at least give props to Facebook, where they have that town hall section. It's not very well, you know, introduced to people, but it gives you the opportunity to know the branches of government. Like, obviously, the Constitution of the United States is always above everything. That's what someone calls something unconstitutional. Sorry, I was burping. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of, are you sure? Like, what amendment is it in? You know, what... Yeah. You know, let's read an article, and that's where they're like, what? Like, no, it's unconstitutional, because they feel somewhat discriminated against, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's unconstitutional, because what the Constitution is basically one big legal article. Yeah, that's what it was.
I think too, nowadays everyone's an expert, you know. So everyone's an expert now. So, I mean, I think when it comes down to what we're talking about today, voting is a right that we have. And, you know, a lot of places, a lot of people don't have that right. So, you know, whether you take advantage of it or you don't, that's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. But I will say that like, you know, I wasn't able to vote. I turned 18 the day after let's see, when was that? A long time ago, in the 90s. Yeah, I turned 18 like
when Bill Clinton won a second term, I believe, right?
Gosh, okay, so
because I was allowed to vote in 2000 when Gore went up against George W.
Okay,
that was my first election.
I graduated 97, so I was 1896. Yeah, I was 1896, and I turned 18, if I'm not mistaken, the day after Election Day. My birthday is November 2nd. So if I'm not mistaken, I turned 18 on Wednesday, or I think maybe I turned 18 on the day of, or it was right around it. And I think there was.
Did you get to vote?
To be honest, I can't remember. I think
I think it was Ross Perot against Bill Clinton.
Remember that? That was good.
Yeah, remember I was telling you about Ross Perot buying like 2 hours of airtime from Ted Turner. He's like, I'm a millionaire. Here you go. Let me have 2 hours of your time, and that single-handedly, put him up on the polls. But then if a libertarian like that cannot beat this machine, it's gonna be it's gonna take a whole coalition of billionaires like him. That like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, who's another one, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack from Twitter, like all these guys, like anyway, we're giving people context, like, okay, the reason why you pay attention to your local and state proposition and legislations is to know how it's going to affect you. And we know that there is a bill, not a bill, a piece of legislation that it's going to totally affect the gig economy. And we had a podcast. We had like 2 podcasts about this shit already. And if it passes, that's it, man. That's it.
Well, it's already been difficult, but I mean, do you want to wait until?
Well, we'll get into it. I mean, I don't know where. Oh, by the way, Omar was supposed to join us, and I don't know what he's doing or where he's at, or if he's also in the jungles of Southeast Asia. But he's here somewhere. I don't know where he's at, but he'll chime in. He has the link to join in. He's probably doing his hair and makeup or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, so the best way for me to dumb down a proposition is to actually break it down one piece at a time. We can look into the ones that are up for ballot in our home state, which is California. Yeah. And to be
honest, that's kind of. To be honest, for me, anyways, pretty much ever since I've been voting, I pay attention mostly to my city, my state, my district. I'm kind of with you when it comes to the presidency. It's one of those, this shit's been decided before we even voted on this. So
yeah,
I mean that whole joke about voting. But here's another thing too, that when you come up with, we've had so many problems with our voting, with our voting procedure, with mail-in ballots, with places where we can go. And I remember reading something on Twitter or some social media platform just recently, and they're like, you can take a picture of a check and have it deposited have that money transferred and deposited into your account. Safe, secure numbers, reference numbers and everything to make sure everything's good. But we're going to stay with this raggedy, outdated voting process. Like, I mean,
no, I hear you on that.
That opened my eyes a little bit because I was totally oblivious to that. I'm like, wow, you're right. I mean, with the digital age that we live in and with how far we've come, and we're still relying on mail-in ballots and I mean, it's harder to get a subscription to YouPorn than it is to there's more security when it comes to certain websites than there is when it comes
unlocking
to
your iPhone with your freaking fingerprint or your Face ID.
Dude, some of this stuff is pretty...
Think about that.
Yeah. So the fact that we're still relying on postage and going... Now, I'm not knocking the USPS because they're fantastic, but they're like, we're not going to change with the times. We're going to keep this. And the thing is, that's on purpose. The fact that that our voting laws and the ways that we vote now hasn't changed. Personally, I feel like that's on purpose, and it's not to blame on either side of the aisle. I think that it's designed that way, and if it hasn't evolved with the times, then there's something going, something fishy going on here. But
speaking of the devil, he just entered the virtual studio. Let me add him on. Well, what do we got here? A failure to communicate.
I gotta adjust my shit here. I'm not as pro level as you guys, so.
Is that your laptop or your phone?
This is my phone, and I'm sitting on the floor.
You have a dining table in your home, Omar. Why aren't you using that?
Because my brother's watching television there. It's louder.
Hey, what is your?
I just got home like 10 minutes ago. What did your shit say? Oh, I'm all that in dim sum. I'm all that in dim sum.
It's so dumb. Well, dude, thank you finally for joining us. You just waltzed in to the perfect time. But first, let me give people context as to who Omar is, how long I've known him. Jeez. I've known Omar for 29er, like almost 30 years, dude. It's been a while.
Like since like a year after your balls dropped.
Dude, I got.
I think when we met there, when we met, they were halfway dropped.
halfway. They weren't so shrivelly and shrugged.
Yeah, maybe one. One was dropped.
That dim sum picture he's got on his shirt. So, anyway, dude. So we are we're just about to jump into talking about these propositions in California. Just to give context on Omar again, him and I go back and forth a lot on Twitter, and I hate typing about this shit. I'd rather just talk about it. Same thing with Whit. I mean, Whit and I can agree, I'm sure Omar can agree too, that just texting each other and messaging on comments is just the worst way to communicate. And I'm one to I like to learn, and I like to get proven wrong countless number of times, because if that's not the way growth works, then then there's some cognitive dissonance that you need to acknowledge, and that's not the case with either three of us. But Omar brings up a lot of good talking points. I fuck around a lot, obviously. But now, like when it comes to my home state and these propositions that I vote on every election, with the exception of the federal ones, which I'm just not a big fan of, and maybe Omar can maybe educate me a little bit, but doesn't mean I'm going to pencil anything in. So check this out, Omar. We're gonna talk about. We have a couple of footnotes too. Let's see. Let me bring that up real quick so everyone can see it. So these are the propositions that are on the ballot for this election. Can you see that, Omar? Is that good enough?
No, I'm good though. You can just bring them up. We'll talk about. I can't read that; it's too small for me. But I'm semi-aware of. I'm semi-aware of them.
I know you're totally aware of it. So, the first one we were talking about before we went live was the Prop 14. Now, I'm trying to dumb it down, for lack of a better term, to people who are unfamiliar with.
Summarize.
Summarize.
Yeah.
For the people who are not familiar, because we're trying to, I guess, introduce people to. We're not trying to. We don't have what's it called?
An agenda.
Not just an agenda, but a confirmation bias. We're just not at this point. We're just trying to get the synopsis, kind of the plot of the story here, as to why local and state elections are very important in general, and you have to make your own decision. And if I influence you in another way, it's unintentional. I just want to educate you on this stuff. But propositions are the ones you vote for that are gonna completely affect your entire state from top to bottom, from north to south, east to west.
Yeah, they affect us at the local level. So
So, Prop 14,
I have to put out there before we go any further that I am here representing Big Phillips screwdrivers. So I do have that. I'm kind of biased. I don't know if there's any propositions that have anything to do with Phillips screwdrivers, but if there are, I'm representing them.
I don't appreciate your bias, because I use I use DeWalt.
Also, we are sponsored here today by Smirnoff.
And then let's not.
I'm just going to represent
Alpine Village.
And for the poor people out there, $20 a bottle, Kirkland signature on Yeho.
What you do is you go inside the Costco, you don't need a membership, and you say alcohol, and they walk you to the alcohol. They actually do, by the way. Wait, I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need. It's just that's a California thing.
Yeah. Like you can go to Costco to the entrance and say alcohol purchase, and they'll walk you over there to get your booze. Go check out and get the hell out of there. So, just FYI for people who are watching and listening. The more you learn, the more you learn, whatever. Prop 14, stem cell researching funding. What is this? What is stem cell researching? Obviously, stem cells are from what I know, is what the umbilical cord also produces when a baby come out. And that helps with, I guess, regeneration of tissue, healing, and I don't know if this is for already pre-existing conditions or what, or stuff that's already too far in. Look at Omar just squinting. You need to get yourself a monitor. Okay. If it passes, the proposition would issue 5.5 billion in bonds. Okay, Whit, what the fuck are bonds again?
Okay,
That's
so
us borrowing money. It's
Yeah,
money we don't have.
basically
Okay,
what
where do we borrow it from?
Uh,
Is it the feds?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, the government bonds.
Is it like Thanos or fucking Starscream and Megatron or?
My general understanding is that if it's coming from bonds, it means that we don't really have the money. We're borrowing it.
We're literally
Oh.
adding to the deficit.
Yeah.
Like, but with the stipulation that we're going to pay it back with interest. So when I read this bill, what I got from it was, because here's the thing: there's also literature about people that support it, people that are against it, and also those groups have PACs and lobbyists behind them, and they're fundraising to either further their agenda or go against it. So
Okay, and lobbyists are kind of like promoters, I guess you could say, or what?
Lobbyists will pay money.
There's some jargon I need some clarity on because I really don't know too much of it.
Oh gosh, okay. Back in college, I did government, and we talked a lot about lobbyists, PACs, and super PACs. A lot of the difference between the PACs and super PACs have to do with how much money can be funded to that organization. Lobbyists basically live on K Street in Washington, and lobbyists will go to. You'll have a lobbyist from the Doctors Association or Lawyers Association or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll have lobbyists from them that will go to congresspeople or congressmen or senators and be like, hey, this is what we need passed. This is the kind of stuff that we need passed for our organization to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's money involved, transfer of money.
I'm
maybe
sure there's money involved. There has to be.
For sure, there is definitely money involved. But that's hearsay for me because I don't know firsthand. But I definitely know that there is campaign contributions made. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
No, I was saying. So I mean, from what I remember, I had a lot of Whiskey Wednesdays back in college, and I had government on Thursday morning. So, but from what I do remember,
hungover as fuck.
From what I remember, there was when it comes to lobbyists, they're basically promoters for their company. So you have like the NRA, and the NRA has their lobbyists that will go to Washington and talk with senators and congresspeople and say, hey, we need to get this passed. Maybe we're gonna, put some money into your contribution, your campaign contribution, or we're gonna do this. Basically, what do you need from us in order to help you swing our way? How can we convince you to go with? If I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much. I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into that. But so one thing that I noticed from this bill is that so basically we're gonna borrow $5.5 billion. And we're borrowing it, and we're going to have to pay it back with interest. And basically they're saying the fiscal impact of this bill is that our state, California, is going to have to repay, on average, $260 million a year for the next 30 years to pay off.
Let me ask this question: that $260 million over 30 years is going to come out of our pockets, right?
That comes out of our budget.
I don't understand why we're investing money in this right now when we're kind of already broke.
That's exactly what one of the cons were saying. I was looking at some of the pros and cons from this thing, and basically the way it started was we voted on $3 billion to give for stem cell research back in 2004, and it's been depleted over the years to the point where now we're only at 132 million. And they're not funding new research now because they don't have enough funds. So now they're like saying, "Hey, let's get more funds for this." And one of the cons to this, one of the people that were going against it, they were saying that today California faces an enormous budget deficit and proposals of slashing like social programs and benefits and stuff. So it was saying instead of instead of investing this multi-billion-dollar investment into this, it seems like it would be better allocated if we were to invest in healthcare, housing, jobs, education, things that are a little bit more pressing at this time. So, I mean, those are just some of the pros and cons of the bill.
Yeah.
And my question is, have we even gotten to the point where the money we already spent has given us any results that we can say, yeah, we're investing this money and this is what we're getting out of it? Or are they just saying, hey, we need more money, we haven't really gotten anywhere with
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dan Bilzerian, I'm sure you follow him. I do. Anyways,
I'm like, I think
he went down. I remember hearing some post.
Was he on Good Times?
He went. I saw a post or watched a video or something where I want to say he had something wrong with his back or his knee or something, and he went. And he went down to and it cost like $20,000 per procedure.
I think he went to Panama.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah.
There, I'm not. So, I mean,
because that's where I think Mel Gibson referred him to.
So, are you saying what we're funding is cutting edge research for procedures for the rich?
You know what?
Is that about right?
It sure sounds like it, because if you got a dude like Joe Rogan saying, "Yeah, bro, I'll recommend it. It's only like $10,000 a shot," and you're like, "Oh yeah, hold on, let me just take it out of my checking."
Right.
Hold on.
He was saying something at like each shot was like $20,000, and
that's a lot of money. It's probably more here in the States.
It sounds like that's not the kind of thing that like your average insurance covers. This is for people who have a lot of money. So I'm gonna go with no. How about no?
They were also saying
I need little signs that say no.
We need like a yes, no, like. They were saying
at the
beginning they were talking about how they were kind of like over promising stuff and were literally like under delivering. So. I mean,
it's the cart before the horse, which is with a lot of the stuff. That's why I like to break it down and find out. You always say, "Wait, follow the money." I'm learning how that works, and it's very tricky because it's a bit of a labyrinth. And you're like, "Oh man!" Like you'd be surprised as to how much is tied to all of it. And I'm like, "Whoa, there's so many." It's basically like a family tree.
Yeah, this one seems pretty. This one seems pretty special interest to me.
Well, I mean,
the niche market.
I think, like we said at the beginning of this, we're trying to lay down the facts and we'll give you our opinion. And whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. That's why we're voting on it. This. I know there might be some people out there that stem cell research is really important to them.
Now let me ask you guys this question, and this is just kind of like a hypothetical one. Omar stated that it's a special interest prop, basically like it's like a very fraternized like proposition for specific people. Now, why not get a $5.5 billion bond if we are going to borrow money to kind of alleviate this whole quote unquote pandemic we're going through, perhaps? Mm-hmm. Or is that just going to magically disappear in November? Is what I'm.
Well, that's a whole other podcast.
You're going deep.
Tell you this.
Well, I think it's going to cost a lot more than that. That's why it's endless amount of money. So,
and I think that this is
like PPE, for example. And for again, I don't want to jump the gun on jargon. PPE is abbreviated for what is it, Omar? Personal protective equipment. Shields, biohazard gear, hazmats, gloves, disposable face masks, all that stuff. It's needed. I know it's needed. I know fire departments that need it. It's like a big thing, and I'm not dumbing down. I'm not kind of playing down the pandemic, but it's like, okay, if we do have one like this, we have to be better prepared, dude, because what's next, dude? What's next? I don't know where typhus came back in downtown LA and was like, oh crap, typhus. Two LAPD officers caught that shit. That's crazy,
Sure.
man.
Especially right now with what's going on with the pandemic. It's like we have pressing things that are going on right now. And for you to talk about bonds of all this money to go to something maybe in the future that may pan out, I don't know. We got more pressing things going on right now. Yeah.
I think that I totally agree with you guys. I think that there's more pressing issues that and that's one of the cons that came up on the for or against the bill. They were just saying, listen, like, this is great stuff that we can be working on if we were in a great position, but it's like the same thing in your own family. If you're struggling financially and you've got $100 left in your account, do you pay your light bill or do you go, on vacation?
Oh yeah, exactly.
There's like, it's when you look at it that way, it's like, there'd be these great things. I'd love to go buy a car tomorrow, but I'd also like to, keep my lights on today. So maybe we should fix the infrastructure first.
Or you can go to Nicolas.
or you can go to the strip club and
Nicolas. Yeah.
Call it a day.
I don't know what you are talking about. I have never. I am a good Catholic boy.
Hey, when we decide, like when we vote, can I do like the men on film and be like, hated it?
This proposition, we get 2 snaps in a circle.
Z-formation. Yeah. Remember that? Men on film?
That was hell yeah. I'm sure a lot of people don't, unfortunately, but In Living Color was probably the best fucking, oh man. Anyway, moving on to Prop 15, Omar. Prop 15, let me highlight that real quick. So Prop 15 is property tax, and Omar, you're a proud homeowner. Prop 15 is property tax increase on commercial and industrial properties for education and local government funding. So what the proposition would allow is increase property taxes on commercial properties that are worth more than $3 million, provide 6.5 to 11.5 billion in new funding.
And where's the money going?
Okay, all right. Here's the pro argument, and Whit so kindly mapped this out for us to read. The pro argument says, and I quote, "We're really talking about a fraction of top corporations in the state of California, of course, that have benefited for decades from." Like super low property taxes, assessments from the 1970s. Like, what's a good example is like Disneyland, right, Whit?
Yeah.
Disneyland, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry Farm, Medieval Times. That's kind of like, I don't know if that's so much of a pro, but okay. The con argument is we are going to have the largest tax increase in California history at exactly the wrong time in our economy to be able to afford it, which I believe that's probably the case. So California already has the worst climate for business and job creation in the country, dude.
Sure, it's gonna make it more likely for more businesses to leave California, and a lot are. But where's the money going specifically?
It doesn't really
what it
give
said
you.
Was, like I said, these guys, they write these bills very. I watched a few videos on this prop as well, and a gentleman was talking about how they're not going to be increasing it for residential, and he's like, but they change the definition of residential all the time, so we don't really know what that means. But they're saying that the property increase is supposed to be just for commercial buildings that are over $3 million. But when you've got all these companies, especially for the last 3 to 4 months, that have been shut down, and I personally know a lot of companies that have gone under indefinitely because they just can't operate. So now you've got coming out of this, you've got a major tax increase on businesses that are just trying to make ends meet right now.
California should be the first to tax churches.
Yeah.
Dan Ochoa, can you see that, Omar? I think if you tap on the screen.
Hello, Satan.
Hello, Satan.
Well, I mean, when you look at the bill, And when you read
but didn't Omar just inquire about where the
money's going?
Okay,
I just want to know whether it stipulates that the money goes somewhere. Or is it just go to the general tax fund?
It says that it's going.
The revenue will be distributed mostly to local governments, right? What?
It says, watch, scroll up a little bit so you can see the beginning of Prop 15. It says at the top, it says, it'll be properties for it's allocated for education and local government funding. Like, what does that mean? That's so broad.
Well, like
so already I'm like, okay, so I don't think that local school districts are going to handle the money properly. And I don't think local governments are going to handle money properly. So
I played the fifth.
For example, like I live in Montebello. Montebello Unified School District is pretty bad. Like they've been caught mishandling funds many a time here, and so I don't trust it. So that it's going to be allocated to these specific organizations makes me think, I don't know.
The fact that it's written so vaguely. If they were going to say like, hey, we're going to increase property taxes on this so we can help this, this exact, homeless problem.
Right.
Or this
all it says is,
thank you. Yes.
All it says is schools and local governments. That's it.
And it doesn't even say schools. It says education. What does that mean? Education.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking local schools, but maybe it's some other education program. They can create whatever education program they want. And there you go.
Dan Ochoa said stripper poles in the teacher's lounge. Damn.
Yeah. All right. Well,
what time is lunch break? I'm kidding. But support has raised 21 million.
Support that. I'm sorry.
Or a keg in the break room, for after work happy hour. That'd be great. We get all trashed.
You know what's interesting about the pros and cons arguments for this bill is that the pros is basically saying like, hey, we're only talking about a top fraction of the businesses in California. The businesses that have been around for a long time. They've reaped the benefits of low property taxes for years. So now we're just going to jump up. So it's kind of like basically saying the elite of the elite in California businesses, we're just going to make them pay a little bit more. Not everybody else, not the everyday Joe. But at the same time, you got to look at how it's written and how vaguely it's written. So how far down does the elite go? It probably taps into the average Joe, the average person who is
right.
has a building and is working at it. But then with the argument against it, it's talking about that you're talking about putting a tax on businesses, whether it's Disney or not. Disney's been shut down for how long? So you're going to put an increased tax. Like we're already facing like some of the hardest times I've ever seen in my life, and right during this time we're going to vote on putting and kick you while you're down. Like and you're not even going to tell us where the money's going.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. For me, this is just I don't know, man. Like it seems like a good when you look at the argument, and it seems like a bad when you look at the argument. Like
in general, families across America, especially families who have lost their jobs, everyone's kind of tightening the belt, and reducing their costs. And they're asking for more money for special interests that are vague. And that makes me think, no, we need to spend less money. What are you talking about?
Because we already have so much.
Unless you have a specific area you want to put the money towards, that is, we need that right now. Otherwise,
which is not the case nowadays. Yeah. That's the part where I have bone to pick. It's like, okay, well, you're not really telling me anything. And Whit so eloquently put it that these propositions and laws are made for you to not understand immediately what law they're trying to put into place. And it's because they're all attorneys, man. They're all these politicians.
Yeah. What I like to know is immediately where's the money coming from for it? Who's advocating for it, and where is the money ultimately going to go?
Yeah,
those are my questions always. Where's the money coming from? Who's pushing it? Where's the money going to go?
That's what runs this country. That's exactly what runs this country, and that's why PACs, super PACs, lobbyists. You know, the pharmaceutical company, pharmaceutical industry, smoking industry, like all these different industries that are so well prepared and are well funded and can, like,
Alcohol,
okay, we'll get
tobacco,
into
and
it, but
firearms, bro.
when we get to the proposition where it comes to gig work, I got something to say about lobbyists, and so remind me about that.
Okay. Let's put that in the parking lot.
You say gay work?
Gig work, gig.
Yes. Chicos with Steroid. Oh god.
I am very disappointed that you guys have never played Chico's.
Dude, it would be a.
Well,
it would be
Johnny worked there a few times, but I'm just kidding.
The advertisement.
You were the oil boy. You were the oil boy.
Hey, that was a great job. I got paid so good.
He does a helicopter, bro. He does a helicopter.
I've seen some good drag shows there.
Prop 16 is something that I don't know. I want both of you guys' opinion on this because I'm stuck in the middle with this, but at the same time I hear both sides. And okay, so Prop 16, Omar, is ending the ban on affirmative action. So if Prop 16 passes, it would remove the ban on affirmative action involving race-based or sex-based preferences from the California Constitution by repealing Proposition 209, established in 1996 under the Clinton administration. So state and local governments, public universities, and other public entities would, within the limits of the federal law, be allowed to develop and use affirmative action programs that grant preferences, keyword preferences,
based on
race,
skin color.
sex. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's saying, well, we're going to openly discriminate because we want to meet gender and race quotas.
That's exactly what
what they're saying,
man. Yes, it's like
they're saying,
EOP.
You're the most competent person, but you know what? We gotta hire this person because skin color, or
because he's
whatever,
part of the LGBTQI,
whatever
whatever,
the fuck ethnicity,
or whatever.
And look, I'm not personally saying that
I would like to hire the best person for the job in general.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Wait, Dan Ochoa said something about this. Hold on. He said, screw that. Even though my last name got me hired under affirmative action at my first job. Because he's Mexican vanilla. That's what I call him. But okay, here's the pro.
Welcome to the club, Dick.
Yeah, dude, that's you, me, and him, dude. So the quote says, this is part of the pro of the Prop 16. It reads, I know about discrimination. I live it every day. We live it in this building. Quit lying to yourself and saying race is not a factor. The bedrock of who we are in this country is based on race. Since Proposition 209's passage, California has become one of the only 8 states that do not allow race or gender to be among the many factors considered in hiring, allotting state contracts, or accepting students into the state's public colleges and universities. So, race is not a factor.
Look,
quit lying to yourselves and saying race is not a factor.
I don't want. So, how about this? Imagine if they told you that we need to have more diversity of ethnicity in the NBA. Because there's way too many black people. So we need to have Indians, we have Mexicans, we need to have Asians. Dude, NBA would suck. The best players.
Y'all can't ball.
No, I don't want equality of outcome. I just want the best people to fill the positions.
I agree, man. I can't disagree with that. I can't because Whit, dude. For example, I had someone say to me, "Oh, go for it."
No, I was just going to say he said something that was really important. That we're looking for, what'd you say? Equality of. We're not looking for the equality of outcome. You know, I think
we're looking for the best
quality of
for the
equality.
best. No,
Best
we want
person for
equal.
the job.
We want an equal playing field. We
Yeah.
don't want to
Yeah.
give any one person advantage over the other based on their skin color, because
Yeah.
that's definition of
I
racism.
think basically what this is saying is that there has been a what is the word that everyone's using right now? Systemic
Yeah.
hiring process where it's racist. So so affirmative action is put in place to balance that out. So it's like the hiring process is racist, so we're going to put in a racist law to counteract the racism. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I guess I get that. I would hope that we've evolved maybe a little bit. I mean, if you look at the news nowadays, I doubt it. But when it comes to hiring someone, I'm, I'm not an owner of a company, but I would hope that if I was, I would like the opportunity to hire the person who's most qualified personally. Whether I don't, and now me personally, I don't care the skin color, the gender, the race, or I don't care about that as long as if you can do the job, you can do the job.
I would even be okay if they said if a white person and a black person and an Asian person had the same qualifications, maybe you favored one over the other. But this seems more like, well, we have certain quotas we want to meet, and so we have to hire more of this people.
Yeah,
and I don't agree with that.
Let's get back to what the prompt is saying. The prompt is saying that we had affirmative action in place, and then it was repealed. So there was a ban on it. So it was taken away. But now, all of a sudden, now it's coming out that we're gonna bring it back, or we're ending the ban on it. I don't know. Is that a?
Well, here's the thing.
But it's coming from a place of hiring quotas. Remember that the
Yes.
push for this is people that want to have hiring quotas. So, for example, they look at a certain job position. There's not enough females in that job. We need to now fill it with females so that things are equal.
Well, does that
Oh,
go
wow.
off?
That's crazy. You know?
When you go to Hooters and there's not enough dudes there. So
Right. It doesn't make any sense. So
No,
it-
I
it-
remember there was something with Hooters where it was all big breasted women getting hired, and that created a stir, and that's where I guess affirmative action came into play. But Dan Ochoa said, "Let's make sure we hire more little dick guys in porn."
Said nobody ever. Said nobody ever.
So,
you said
dude,
one of the things that you said one of the pros for it.
yeah.
One of the cons that I read on there also was saying that it said, is it right to give someone a job just because they are white or black or green or yellow, or just because they're male or female? Repealing Proposition 209, enacted by voters 24 years ago, is to repeal the prohibition of judgment based on race, sex, color, ethnicity, and national origin. We're talking, and this is part of the thing. It says we're talking about legalizing racism and sexism. So
Sure.
now these are two things that are companies or people or are politicians who are for it or against it, the ending the ban. So some people are saying that we should I think the gentleman that said what you said, Edgar, the I know about discrimination, we live it every day, we live it in this building. I want to say, I can't remember who that was, but I want to say that was a congressman. But then you also have a congressman down here on the con side saying that we're with this bill, putting affirmative action back in place is literally legalizing racism in the workplace, in the hiring process. So, but it's not just the hiring process. It's also when it comes to college, which is the way that. So, I graduated with my AA just a few years ago. And I, to believe it or not, I just had a Zoom meeting with my guidance counselor today, figuring out if I want to go for my bachelor's right now, and he told me, he was like, "Hey, what's your GPA? Where do you live? He was asking me a lot of questions about this because those factors go into it. One thing he didn't ask me was my race. I'm sure he knows it, but that's not something that they're allowed to ask you about. But they can ask you about everything else. And what's weird is that I was looking at Fullerton, Cal State Fullerton, and Cal State Long Beach, because I'd be going with a major in communications with a minor in marketing, and both schools have great programs. So, but he was like, oh well, you probably won't get into Long Beach that well. Your GPA is great, but they go off of local people first. So the way that they deal with the admittance is if you're a local person, if you live in Long Beach, you have to have at least a 2.4 GPA to get accepted, and they will accept you. Then they go up and up, and then they go from people who don't live in Long Beach, and they go from 4.0 down.
Oh, so 4.0.
Yeah. So my problem is I don't live in Long Beach, and I have a 3.4 GPA. So they're gonna take all the 4.0, 3.9, all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
But before they even take the great students that don't live around, they're taking the Long Beach people that came out of high school with a 2.4. So
that's like it's not. So that's like a geographic kind of nepotism.
There's a lot of factors that go in.
Like,
wow.
What? I thought they wanted the smartest people to go to college.
Well,
it's a place of higher learning. I don't understand why they would do that.
There's all these different things that they talk about. Geography, where you live, what your grades were. Did your parents go to college? What's your household income? They ask you a lot of stuff. But one thing they don't ask you about is your race, your sexuality. So basically, affirmative action is saying that that is part of the people who are voting for it.
So they already use all these different factors to decide whether or not you're worthy to go to the college.
Yes.
Not based on performance, but based on some kind of group that you fit into, some kind of identity that you fit into, and they want to add more factors into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think the whole thing is insane. I think it should be. It's an education system of higher learning. We want the brightest people to go to these schools so that we can then.
Well, here's another thing too, and part of the part of the argument for repealing this and bringing back affirmative action is the fact that they talked about. I want to say it was like 15. It was 15% or 30%, something like that. Are Asians that are coming that are not local. They're like Asians that are coming from China or from Japan or from Indonesia.
Yeah, but that's a school policy. They don't have to admit that many international students. But the reason they do it is because they make more money off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where they get a lot of their money.
Once again, we come back to follow the money.
Yes, exactly.
But with this prop, I mean, personally, I just want to tell everybody, there's a lot of, especially nowadays, especially with what's happening in our world and in our country right now, there's a lot of feelings behind this. And I would say that for everybody, do more research than we did on this, because we did some, we looked into it, and everybody has their opinion on it, but look into it, and whatever. This is a tough one because I think there's good argument for
the money, the support to end the ban on affirmative action. Support has raised $3.14 million, and Quinn Delaney is the largest donor, contributing $1,500,000. And the opposition to not end the ban has raised $105,000. Yeah, $105,678.
Wow,
including $50,000 from students.
That's a huge difference.
Big
$50,000 from Students for Fair Admissions Incorporated.
So the people against it are people who are having to go through the system and try to survive in it. And for some reason, we got huge donors trying to bring money into it. That's interesting.
Follow the money, and I get it. So, we have to come back to that one because that one's a little bit.
That's got a lot of moving parts to it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
For me, I'm done. Hated it.
Hallelujah! It's the rain.
I would just say that there's
Steel Magnolias. Hated it.
They make good. I mean, bottom line is they make good arguments on both sides. They do. When you look at when they start pulling up numbers and when they start looking at, it depends on how you enforce it. I think that's something that you need to look at as well. How do you enforce this law? Is it just across the board? Is it just
I'm telling you, it's legalized discrimination to me.
They should even have
but in the beginning, they brought this up because
at the beginning of the application.
But in the beginning, it's legalized discrimination. But when they brought this into effect, they were saying that this is to balance out discrimination because they brought this into effect. Whatever.
I understand what they're saying, but they're trying to create a more equal outcome.
Yes.
But that's like saying, again, I go back to sports every time because I think sports are a very pure level of like competition, and so you're going to give the advantage to the person who is less good at the sport just so that we have a more equal like score.
Yeah.
You let the game play out the way it's going to play out using the same set of rules for everyone.
Yeah.
Imagine if
you're talking about equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because there are so many factors and variables that go into why one person succeeds over another. To try to sit there and play hall monitor with the whole system of opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean,
let me just say that maybe there might be, okay, so when we talk about equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome, some people might say that my opportunity is not equal to yours, and that's why affirmative action was put in place, because my opportunity is not equal to what your opportunity is. I think that's where we're going back to the whole.
But then we're playing a game of we're playing a game of who had it the hardest. You know, okay, I didn't have a dad, my mom never had a job, I grew up in this neighborhood. Are we going to constantly play this game? I feel like that's silly. We're handed your cards and you play them to the best of your ability. Now, if we can point to things that are actually on the books of like, you know what, this is helping this person better than the other, and that's wrong, sure, let's get rid of that. And I feel like we have for the most part. This is actually saying, you know what? There are still not enough black doctors, or there's not enough brown this. So we're actually going to get in there and cook the books and make it work so that maybe it works out at the end. But that's crazy. You're never going to have equality of outcome that way. The world doesn't work that way. People have different skills and different motivations and different backgrounds. And there's like a bajillion factors that you have to take into account. You're going to be chasing your tail the entire time, trying to make up for it.
If you ask me, I still would not want free throw shooting advice from Shaquille O'Neal. I don't care how good he dunks. But let's see. We have a comment here from Dan Ochoa, of course. Appreciate the love, Dan. Of course, we have to factor in that people don't always get the jobs by ability. A lot is who you know. Yes, of course. So if a majority white executive group only hires family and friends, just something to consider. Yes, that is called fraternization. I totally agree with that.
But that's if you live I've lived in like the South when I was in the military, and there are areas that are nothing but white. And so what happens is that whites discriminate against whites using those same set of principles, right? You're not in this family, you're not a friend with somebody, but that's universal. That's just human.
That's universal, and it goes that's from top to bottom. I mean, look at Pelosi and Gavin Newsom. Isn't that his mom?
Who? Nancy Pelosi?
They're related through.
They're related, right?
They're related through marriage. They're not blood.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got like
they're in the same extended family.
Yeah.
But they're not blood. But yeah, they're connected. Yeah.
I mean,
wow, that you busted a Johnny Reyes, bro. You busted a Johnny Reyes.
You know what?
I'm gonna lay against the wire.
I thought you said you were sponsored by, Phillips Screwdriver. Aren't they gonna come in?
I'm sponsored by Bear Red Paint.
I'm sponsored by this wall. All right, Prop 17 is restoring the right to vote to people who are on parole. So Prop 17 would allow people on parole for felony convictions to vote in California. Currently, the California Constitution disqualifies people with felonies from voting until their imprisonment and parole are completed. Campaign finance data has not been reported, so there's no money to follow on here. But this is easy for me to decide, knowing that, okay, the pros are, and Whit highlighted this, that none of this is supported by, a vast amount of Democrats in California. But I'll give you an example. Oh, it is supported.
Yeah, there was no pros written.
Okay.
But it was supported by something like 20-something Democrats that support this bill. But there was no section on pros, for this. There was no comments,
Okay, I stand corrected. So the cons are, obviously, Omar, you can kind of already manifest exactly what this would look like. I mean, you get people who are convicted murderers, voluntary manslaughter, child pedophilia, rape, sodomists, the whole nine, dude. And
so this is specifically talking about felonies, right? Because in California, you only lose your right to vote if you're a felon. But that includes, say, this, like previously, before they legalized marijuana, it included the sale of marijuana. Right? Say you got caught with a kilo or something, and then you got released, and you still can't vote because of it. My thing is, you're still serving your time.
Yeah.
A probation is just an extension of your jail time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not, you haven't served it all yet. I agree that if you're a felon and you've served your time, you're done, you're in the clear, you should be able to vote. And that's not the case in some states. Virginia, where I used to live, if you are a felon for certain types of crimes, you can never vote again. I think that's wrong. But in this case,
or even like certain types of crimes, like, I mean, what if someone is a felon for pedophilia, or and then they get out?
I'm not sure about pedophilia in Virginia, but I know that there are certain felonies for which you can no longer vote again in your life. Yeah. So
no shit.
Yeah.
Like credit card fraud or some shit.
Yeah. There's a handful. There's maybe like 11 states that have something like that. They have laws in the books where certain felonies are like you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
It disenfranchises you from society. So I don't agree with that. So this is different though. This is saying you haven't quite served your time, but you're just out of jail.
Yeah. You're serving it. You're still paying your debt to society, but you're just doing it outside of the jail system. So I think that what this bill is saying is that because you're outside of the jail system, you should be able to vote. I mean, me personally, I think that if you're still serving your I don't know. I think I kind of align myself more with the cons on this because you're still serving. They even said while on parole, criminals' liberties such as movement, association, activities, even ownership of certain items are heavily restricted and regularly monitored by the system. Any misstep results in immediate reincarceration. So in other words, you're still when you're on parole, you still haven't regained your full trust in society. You're still
they're testing you out and seeing how it's
serving your. So, I want see, and this raises a bunch of eyebrows when it comes to conspiracy theories. Like, why is there no comments about why this is a good thing, but it's supported by multiple Democrats? Is it and that's when you get into like the left and right argument of like, are they looking to just get more votes? Are they why is this so important to them, but they're not writing down they're not putting down
why is it good? Maybe they don't even want to get behind it or speak because they're worried it could like bite them in the ass later.
I mean, and usually what is it? I personally don't know, but what is a normal parole? Is it different for to to be honest, I'm very naive to it. I just don't I don't know. Is a regular parole like 2 years or 8 years or 20
No,
years?
it's usually a 5-year, I believe. 5-year, depending on the severity of the sentencing. But I've seen 5, and I've seen up to 10.
10-year parole.
Yeah, depending on if they're multiple violators, if they violated parole more than twice, shit like that.
I guess my personal take on that is that, like, if you went to jail for a felony and you got parole, first of all, they see something in you. They see something that, okay, you're getting out. You're rehabilitated. You're on your way, but we still got to watch what's going on.
Right.
I mean, many people.
Dan says, I think they believe many people were unfairly imprisoned under the three-strike
That's
law.
probably true.
Oh,
Sure.
that
So let me say this: if
Uh-huh.
they made it specific to people who were incarcerated under 3 laws, or people who got felonies for like medium to low level weed distribution, I would say
That makes a lot of
100%.
sense.
Let's go. But that's not that. You're talking about anyone. You're talking about someone who raped a fucking little girl, or someone who like killed somebody. Like, we're talking
That's the
all
difference, is
classes of felons. Yeah.
Yeah, when you have a felony of like, and you're talking about giving someone their right to vote again, but because you're a felon, it's just that's felon across the board. A felon who distributed weed versus a felon who sodomized a child is a very different felony.
or distributed fucking child pornography. Yeah.
That's a very different mindset. That's a very different person. They both have very different walks of life. I think that maybe instead of having this bill written so freaking vaguely, maybe if they were a little bit more, focused, if there was some more focus in this, I could probably get behind it.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's just me. But I mean,
I get that they're trying to restore the whole voting rights thing, and it's the most fundamental and valuable of American privileges. But like both of you say, like if you haven't,
but the truth
completed your
of the matter
time,
is, we at least they can get their rights back. I know of other states,
Right.
like I said, fucking Virginia for sure. You can,
Yeah.
you're fucked.
Yeah. So, which brings me to Prop 18. Shit. Letting some 17-year-olds vote. I repeat, letting some 17-year-olds vote.
some.
You vote yes, it would allow 17-year-olds who will be 18 at the time of the next general election to vote in primary elections and special elections. For example, my birthday's in February. I was 18 going on as a senior in high school. I would be allowed to vote.
Wait. Say that again.
That's the criteria. Say, for example, you're senior in high school. You turn 18 later in the second semester, which is like, I don't know, January, February, March, April, May, and you graduate in June. But you turned 18 even on your graduation day, right? If you turn 18 before that, I believe there's and this is a criteria. I got to do a little bit more digging on this. I don't know what the window of months, I guess, is for you to qualify to vote as a 17-year-old, and I'm assuming it's anywhere from 6 to 7 months, though.
Well, what I got from this though is not. I think you're going further than that. I think what I got from this is kind of exactly what happened to me when I was 18. Did we talk about this on the air, or we talk about this in private?
No, I think before offline we talked about this.
Back in
And
90,
you're one of those examples, right?
Yeah. So check this out. So what I took away from this is that they're saying they want to let some 17-year-olds vote in primary elections leading up to the election. So, like for me, prime example, my birthday is November 2nd, Dia de los Muertos, but a lot of times election day falls on my birthday. So back in 1996, my birthday was the day before election day. So I turned 18 the day before I could vote. However, I wasn't allowed to vote in any of the primaries coming up, or any of the local primaries, or any of my community primaries. I couldn't vote in any of those. So when basically I could vote in the general election because I turned 18 the day before, but I had no say in what actually gets put on the ballot. So I understand. I understand where this is coming from.
So this doesn't involve the general election, just the primaries?
No. Basically what is okay.
It's primaries and the general elections.
Yeah.
But it's young people whose birthdays fall between the primary and general election are currently at a disadvantage, of course, because they can't vote, but this will allow them, if their birthday falls, in this case it would be Whit. Say the primaries are the following year, but his birthday's in November, he turns 17.
Wait.
So the primary would
year?
be in March. Yeah, it's like, okay, say you turn 17 your senior year, right? In November, you're not going to be you're going to be a 17-year-old senior. That's a lot of the case. You're going to graduate high school. You're going to be out. But the primaries are that March, and you're still 17. You are allowed to vote if this passes, and you're allowed to vote in November.
No. You have
That's
to
what it's
be
saying,
18.
no?
You have to be 18
To vote.
when the general election occurs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So your birthday has to be before November, whatever it is, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 8th, whatever. The first two. It's the first Tuesday in November.
So if your birthday's in October, you're good.
Yeah. Here's what they're saying. If your birthday's in October and you turn 18, you can vote in the general election for sure. But what they're saying is you are old enough to vote at that time, but while you were 17, because the primary election was 6 months before the general election, but you couldn't vote in the primary election because you were too young, even though you were 4 months too young or 3 months too young. I think at least this is my interpretation of what they're saying, is that so in my case back in 1996, I worked. I could vote for the general election, but I had a say in the final vote, but I didn't have a say. 6 months earlier when the primaries happened, I didn't have a say in what is actually on the ballot, because we all know that in March we voted on a lot of other stuff that is going to be put on the ballot in November. So there are some things that we voted on in, especially when it comes to, like we're talking about, like propositions and district stuff and state stuff. We vote in the primaries to see if it'll even get on the ballot. You know what I mean?
So which is what we did this past March on these propositions. So
what they're basically saying is, pretend that I'm 17 right now. If I'm 17 right now, but I'm turning 18 in October, I couldn't vote on the primaries, but I can vote in the general election. So what my interpretation of this is basically saying, like, hey, we should let some 17-year-olds vote on the primaries, because they're going to be part of this general election. So they should be part of the whole process, even though they're 4 to 6 months younger. Which
I see the point, and I think that's logical. I also think kids don't know shit.
That's one of the cons, dude. That's one of the cons that came up, bro.
I want the proposition to be, you can't vote until you pay bills for a year, motherfucker.
I wanted to say you can't vote until you've worked in the service industry and had motherfuckers wait on someone all night and they don't tip you anything.
6 months in the service industry.
Brutal.
All right.
Then you're allowed to vote.
Yeah.
When did you work? McDonald's?
We can create multiple stipulations, but the point is, you paid some kind of dues before you go voting, right?
Yeah.
I get what they're saying.
Because you gotta have skin in the game.
Well, another thing too, one of the pros that came up on it was basically saying, like, young people's birthdays, they want everybody to be a part of the whole process. Like, okay, I get that. That makes sense. It's across the board. They're part of the process across the board. One of the cons that came up was it said, 17-year-olds are legal minors. Under that definition, they are still considered children. They are almost all living at home.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to smoke.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to own a firearm.
Yep.
You can't even join the military yet.
You
so how are you gonna?
They're saying that that this is the interesting part. They're saying that they are almost all still living at home and under strong influence from their parents. This is not conducive to independent thought and voting without undue pressure from their immediate superiors. So basically saying like it's kind of like a way to get an extra vote for whoever's in that house. So if I'm 17 and I'm living in a Republican home.
Because the average 17-year-old doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So their parents going to vote for them.
So I grew up with a
want
set
to
of
make
values.
TikTok videos. That's what they want to do.
If I grew up in a if I'm 17 and I'm growing up in a dominantly Republican household, and then they allow me to vote, basically it's an extra vote for Republicans. Same thing on the other side. Same thing on Democrats. If I'm living in a Democratic home and all of a sudden it's an extra vote. I think I see that logic. I totally see that logic that when you're raised in that, and it also goes to say that 17-year-olds will almost always still be in high school, and they're under strong influence from their teachers as well. So you got to think that they're very impressionable.
Although I would say that college is more political than high school.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. But I that argument against this bill, I get it. That's a good argument. 17-year-olds are, now granted, that's not all 17-year-olds across the board for sure. But I think there are a lot of, I know 25-year-olds that are very impressionable. But like for a 17-year-old, I see the argument saying that, if we let them vote in the primary, it's just an extra vote going towards whatever their parents want them to vote for. It's very, as we got older, I had a lot more independent thoughts than my parents did. When I grew up, I was surrounded by my parents, and I kind of just believed what they believed until I got to the point where I started free thinking for myself.
But again, my thing is,
Whit
this is
left
not even
the Amish village.
But the point for me is, it's not even on the proposition. But the point is, you don't really have your own thought until you start making your own money, working, or doing kind of your own thing.
True.
So
It's called adult transition.
I think it's weird to let people who are still completely dependent on other people, essentially, they're just leeches still. And they get to vote and have a say. I don't get it. 6 months minimum.
I like
6
to
months
call
of
them
paycheck.
succubuses, life suckers. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's a hard no for me, man.
Yeah.
That's a hard no. They can't even wipe their ass correctly. They can't even wipe their ass correctly.
I would say
How
this.
you gonna vote for somebody?
Point, even if you turn 18 in October and you can vote in the general election, vote in the general election. If you're that involved in it, maybe you don't. At that point, you don't need to be a part of the primary. Start when you start, like I did.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm just
Prop
saying what I
19
do is probably the best thing, and everybody should do what I do. I'm just kidding.
all the time.
No, but remember, with my point of view, you can say if you said you have to have a year's worth of paying bills under your belt, you can start that shit when you're 15.
Yeah.
I know people who've done it. Who have shitty ass parents, shitty ass backgrounds, started working real young. You know what? You're already an adult. I know you're 16 and a half, but you've proven yourself.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go on.
I'm going
to go on devil's advocate on this. What about that dude that is still playing video games at 27, living in his mom's basement and hasn't
nothing? You don't get a motherfucking vote. You get nothing.
You don't get supper.
Yeah. That dude is like, Mom, meatloaf, meatloaf.
I'm hungry now.
I never know what she's doing.
Guys, speaking of living in your mother's basement, the Prop 19 property tax breaks, right? It will allow homeowners who are over 55, disabled, or victims of natural disaster to take a portion of their property tax base with them when they sell their home and buy a new one. It would also limit the ability of new homeowners who inherit properties to keep their parents' or grandparents' low property tax payments. Most of the additional money raised would go into a state fire response fund. I'm not a homeowner.
So this is who is benefiting from this.
Okay.
People who are already over 55 have had their homes for a long time, want to sell it and get into a new home within California, or children of people who have already paid off their homes and now they want to inherit the house plus have a really low tax payment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
That don't apply to me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. What if I want to buy a house? What if I want to buy that house that they want to get? And they're gonna beat me to it because they got more money.
I think if you're retiring, you need to go to Florida.
Yeah. But if you want to buy the house so if someone who is 55 is selling their house and you're buying it and paying the property taxes at the regular rate of today.
That is correct.
They are keeping their property taxes that they got when they bought it in 1952, and they're taking
so that they can buy a new house, a smaller home, or somewhere else, and take up more room. Listen, you had your run in California. Get your ass to Florida.
If I was 55 and I had a home for that long, I mean that seems like a good thing, you know. But at that time, like I don't know. At that point, it's like.
Victims of natural disaster like birth.
That part for me is questionable. But even more questionable is you're leaving your house to your kids, and then they get to pay the same low tax rate that you bought the house at.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's a hard no. No, like let me get that tax rate, man. What the fuck? Like,
no.
That's just me being fucking. Like, yeah.
Look, I'm gonna leave California and make room for other people.
Yeah, I'm kind of down with that too.
Be somebody.
Be somebody.
Be somebody.
Yeah. So, all right, and then now Prop 20. Prop 20 is criminal sentencing, parole, and DNA collection initiative. So the prop would amend several criminal sentencing and supervision laws that were passed between 2011 and 2016 under the Obama administration. It would allow prosecutors to charge repeat or organized petty theft as a felony, require probation officers to seek tougher penalties for those who violate the term of their parole 3 times, and exclude those who have been convicted of domestic violence. And exclude those who have been convicted of domestic violence and certain nonviolent crimes
from early parole. Yeah.
Wait. Oh,
no.
This is the wording you were talking about.
Yeah.
Though.
So check it out. So it's excluding. So basically, like domestic violence and certain nonviolent crimes, it's saying that it's excluding them from early parole.
Okay.
Basically saying like if you beat your wife, you're going to stay in longer than it's a harsher punishment, basically.
Okay.
Well, what I'm hearing is that they're like grouping 2 different varied things into one bill.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm getting at.
So that I'm like torn because we're talking about 2 different things. So the first part makes sense to me. The whole organized theft thing.
Yeah.
You got to remember that this involves money. So currently, if you don't steal more than $950 a week, it's considered a misdemeanor, which means you never do any jail time.
Right.
So there are organizations.
Is that why they're saying that? What does it say? Penalties for those who violate the term with their parole 3 times. So people who violate this multiple times, and it's a track record of you doing this. Right. Now we're gonna step you up from a misdemeanor to a felony. Right. Is that what they're saying?
Well, the first part was organized. So if they find you in a pattern of stealing shit,
right.
Well, now they can make it a felony because previously they made it a misdemeanor so long as you don't steal over a certain amount of stuff. Right. So you can get away with $950 a week and you'll never do any jail time. So if you're kind of like a street living person, and so it creates these like I live near the riverbed here, and sometimes there's little encampments of people, and like there's literally have like all these areas of bikes and shit they steal, and it's like these rings of people stealing shit and bringing it back, selling it. It's how they keep their little I don't know, river communities.
Yeah.
No,
And it
same
makes-
thing here. I live in Huntington Beach, and
Yeah.
we're getting bicycles stolen daily, like multiple bikes stolen.
It's turning
And
into
I see
Venice
the same
Beach,
thing.
dude.
I see the same thing down the street. I'll go to the park, and I'll see a little encampment of maybe 3 dudes that are there with like 20 bikes, and they're just like
They take them apart and put them back together. And,
Yeah.
They
yeah.
literally
So
exchange the parts so that they can sell it as a different bike.
yeah. So it's become a business for these kind of tweaker communities.
Hmm.
And that's a problem. So
But-
this bill is trying to counter that
This is
because
what
they're
I
not
don't
able to put them
understand,
in
though.
prison. But
This is what I don't understand, Omar. And I tell Whit, I go, riddle me this, Batman. This is what's considered non-serious and non-violent here in California. This allows you to get out of jail or prison earlier, right? These are the non-serious and non-violent crimes. Drugging and raping somebody. Raping a developmentally disabled person. Spousal abuse. A drive-by shooting. Human trafficking of a child. That's considered non-serious and non-violent?
you're reading this off?
These are the pros, right? So I'm saying, like, is that true? Is that because it reads right now, California crimes that are considered non-serious and non-violent and that allow you to get out of jail or prison earlier are drugging and raping, like I just named. And the public never had any idea. They were not considered serious or violent crimes in the state of California. When they hear it, they're shocked. I'm shocked right now. Why are those considered non-serious and non-violent?
I don't know if it, but here's the thing. We're talking about two
Drugging and
different
raping
issues.
somebody, that's non-violent? That's non-serious? Like,
So what
that
they're
doesn't sound right. No.
wait, so what they're saying is those things. They want to take away the possibility of early parole for any of those crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, I think.
Why? Yeah, thank you. You agree with me, man.
I'm like,
You
I'm like-
want to take away the possibility of parole, or you want to take away? No, that's crazy.
yeah,
It's still on a case by case basis. So, if the bill doesn't pass, the people who did those things will still have a parole board review it, just as they did before, and probably go, no, you can't get parole.
Yeah, but I
But
think what
now
they're
it's going to
saying-
say you cannot get parole.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're saying. So, like, if some guy rapes a child and goes to prison, as of the law states right now, in however many years, he can come out and have get parole. Now, what this law is saying is, nah, you did this, you're going to stay in for the whole time. You're not allowed to have
Right.
parole. So,
Right.
I mean,
But do you see how they're grouping this one
yes,
in with
exactly.
the other one?
They're grouping
Because this one is the one that is more likely for people to go, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they're grouping it in with this other one, which is I would never go for it.
Yeah.
The cons are a little bit. What's the con?
Hold on a second.
Here,
Real bit.
though?
Going back to the pros, this is what's interesting is that, like what you said, that they're grouping a lot of stuff together. Now, when you look at human trafficking of a child, that,
Right.
yeah, I agree with it. I don't think they should get parole. But when you look a little bit before that, it says spousal abuse. Now, here's the
Yeah.
interesting part. And now, trust me, I'm not advocating you beat your wife. What I'm saying is that I know personally people that
Just
I
to
know.
be clear, just to be clear.
Just to be clear, right now,
Yeah.
but I know personal friends of mine who
Yeah.
literally.
But when
have-
she doesn't make the sandwich right.
No. I know personal friends of mine
Sandwich.
that got caught in literally did nothing. I'm not even bullshitting. I don't want to give too many. I won't name names or anything like that. But literally, the girl was angry at him. She tripped over something, fell down, called the cops, blamed him. He was in a world of pain for years,
Sure.
because and he's like, this is ridiculous. The fact that they believed her over like the situation. So like what you said, when they're lumping all this stuff together,
you're getting into the fact that
case by case situation.
If the police get called for any kind of domestic violence, you're on the losing end as a man.
Mm-hmm.
You're really better off just getting the fuck out as soon as the woman
guaranteed.
gets violent, even a little bit. Just run away because the law is not stacked on your side.
Yeah.
So that makes this even worse to vote.
But what I was telling you, Will, was that they're lapping all these things together, like you said. So,
right.
You know,
the first part, I can't get on board with. The second part, emotionally, I want to get on board with. But at the same time, you're removing the normal process of law for some people. You might not like those people, but everyone deserves the same review of justice. You're saying, well, because I don't like these crimes, I'm going to remove your ability to be reviewed by the parole board? That seems wrong. Even though you don't like these people because of what they did, everyone deserves the fair shake under the law.
You know what's crazy is that we're looking at this, and I'm just realizing that we're the three of us here are debating this, and we're talking about different situations and blah blah blah. And when you really read it, it's written so vaguely that we're all kind of three of us taking our own interpretation of what it is.
Yeah, where it could go. We're thinking of all the ways that it could go that are not good. Right? Like, let's follow that to its logical conclusion. That might fuck some people over. You know.
Here's one of the bullshit parts of this is that, you know, some random 18-year-old kid's gonna walk into the voting booth, look at this, and be like, sounds good. You know,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right? Like, because the way it's worded, sure.
Yeah, I just don't know if this is. I literally have to. I mean, I'd have to dive into
this one's
more.
a little bit more. It gets really complicated because then it also applies to people who are falsely accused of shit, like you were mentioning. So this is
what does it mean about DNA collection initiative? Like, that's something we haven't even talked about in this whole thing. We're talking about criminal.
We were talking about. I didn't even get into that. Really, you mentioned it right at the beginning.
DNA collection initiative. That's okay. Well, let's look that up real quick.
That's
DNA,
and also when you look at this. Sorry, real quick. It had said, the support for this, meaning the people who want to give people parole.
Where's the money coming from?
That's exactly where I was going. So when you say, like, the people who want this to happen, where they want people to not have parole, so the support has raised 1.6 million with 50,000 from San Bernardino County sheriffs. Okay, that makes sense. That they if they catch somebody and they catch them multiple times, I can see where they would be behind this, especially being in law enforcement. They're the ones who see these people on a regular basis, and they're like, okay, if we've let you out 6 times and you're doing the same shit all the time, maybe your punishment should be more severe. I get that. And then it says opposition.
I agree with the first part of it. The first half of it, I agree with, because these are people who are making a living off of being dirtbags, essentially, and they've taken advantage of a law so that they never do any jail time. However, the second half, it's confusing. It's very vague.
And then you have the opposition, who has raised $2.1 million, major funding from a foundation. It looks like another action fund. You gotta follow the money.
So DNA initiative is basically based on the technology that is used to ensure accuracy and fairness in the criminal justice system. That means taking, swabs, drawing blood, taking the stuff to federal, state, and local forensic labs, police, medical professionals, to victim service providers, that type of shit.
Is this a specific company?
I don't know if it's a specific company. Again, this is the question, but where I'm looking at it is it's on a .gov website, And the goal is to eliminate the current backlog of unanalyzed DNA samples and biological evidence for the most serious violent offenses, which are rapes, murders, and kidnappings, and for convicted offender samples needing testing.
Okay. This is where this comes in. Check this out. So one of the cons that I wrote that I saw here, people who are against this bill, they put it's a prison spending scam at a time where we are actively closing prisons and reallocating funds towards what's needed in communities. They're doubling down on solidifying their places on the wrong side of history. When we're considering a proposal that would increase penalties for low-level offenses, so we're considering this proposal for increasing the penalties on low-level offenses in a system that already profoundly is biased against Black, Indigenous, and Latino Californians. I think it's clear that
we go.
Yeah. I think it's clear that
fucking pander to me, son of a bitch. Sorry.
I think it's clear that it would only extend harm to our criminal justice system. So this, I can't remember who said this. It was someone who was against this bill, basically saying that if we're proposing that we give higher penalties for low-level offenses, that it's just going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
I understand what he's saying, but I also already knew about part of this inherently because I live near where this is going on, and I've seen the thefts going on in my neighborhood, and it's a direct result of the policy that says as long as you don't steal this much, we're not going to put you in prison, right? It's like slap on the wrist, you have to go to court, but these people don't care anyways because they kind of live out in the street. So it leads to a little mini culture of organized theft.
Yeah, I'm with you. I live I live close to the riverbed as well. Just a different riverbed, and I live. So you remember
down by the river.
You remember Tent City over by Angel Stadium.
Oh God!
So
dude,
and it was
I could smell it from the freeway.
It was like over 2 miles of tents and encampments. And I live fairly close to the riverbed in Huntington Beach, and I started noticing there was a lot of pandering, panhandling, and there was a lot of transients hanging out at the gas stations and just around, and. My wife and I are very big on supporting animals, and we're just we love animals, so that's what we do. So we have food in the car and stuff like that, and we were driving around, and my wife, she saw a homeless guy out there with a dog, and she stopped us. I told her from the get, I'm like, babe, please don't give anybody money. Please be very careful. I think she was getting gas, and she was like, hey, can I give your dog some food? I have some food with me. And she started a conversation with him, and she was like, hey, how's everything going? Are you okay? What's going on? And he goes, yeah, we're good. We live up the riverbed. We've got a tent up the riverbed, but we come down here because, people give more money down here. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's
sure. They're survivalists, right?
Yeah.
Survivalists living outside the city.
Now there might be people like that who are just, maybe they're not criminals. Maybe they're not, doing anything bad, but but we can't be blind to the fact that there are criminals and there are people out there that are reoffending, day after day, week after week. So this bill, if I'm interpreting it right, is basically saying, if you're doing this multiple times, then you need to have a harsher punishment, because obviously, giving you the misdemeanor or giving you the ticket isn't doing anything. Now, the second part of it, like we were talking about, the DNA collection, that's weird. Are they trying to just abolish everything?
I was trying to highlight here.
That's just more no for me. No.
Look, that means they subcontract to 23andMe and Ancestry DNA, and this is something that I showed Whit last time on the last podcast about my Ancestry DNA.
Hey guys, I'm drinking too much tequila. I'm gonna go get some water.
Go for it.
Don't get naked without me.
We're 20 steps ahead of you. But no, I mean, it's it's
You know what? Scroll back up, dude.
it's so crazy that a lot of these are tied together in
To
a
me, it seems
very
like-
very eloquent way.
Yeah. To me, it seems like, first of all, if we're sentencing, criminal sentencing and parole, why are we tying DNA collection involved with this? Like, to
I
me,
have
if it's like,
no idea. That is so fucking crazy, though. Like what?
if you're,
I know it's the accuracy of investigations of forensics, bro. But I catch your vibe, dude. I know what you mean.
that's the weirdest thing, dude. Like,
No,
and
it
when,
is.
like I said, dude, when I was looking at the, the pros and cons, they come up with some good arguments on both sides,
Yeah.
and to be honest, and for anybody who is actually still with us and watching, literally that's what this whole podcast is about. It's not about what we think is right. It's about, we're trying to throw the argument out there. We're trying to throw the proposition out there. This is what we are voting on. This is what people are saying is good about it. This is also what people are saying is bad about it. And then, we kind of talk about our opinions on it. And then, hopefully you make a better informed decision. Not to say that we are the end all be all. Please go do more research. Look up, look into this stuff. And if you find something that we're talking about that maybe we don't know what we're talking about, let us know, because I'm human and maybe I'm interpreting this completely wrong. But I enjoy a healthy conversation. Please enlighten us if you hear. Oh, did you bring anything for us?
Oh, thank you, Omar. You're too kind. Virtual drinks.
God, I think that one was one of the tougher ones. Because
The
it's
Prop
so
20?
vague. Yeah, that's weird, man.
Yeah,
And
it's.
I think that one and the affirmative action one was just like, those are some difficult.
Yeah.
Omar.
Okay, so
I was just saying, like, we were going over everything and saying how, like, we're letting everybody know what the prompt is, what some of the arguments are on the affirmative and what some of the arguments are on the cons, and then kind of what we think, and but do your own due diligence. And I was kind of saying that for me, this last one was kind of a rough one to wrap my head around because of how vaguely it was written. And then also, I think the affirmative action one was kind of a rough one too, because there's so many arguments on both sides that are like, I might want to dig a little bit deeper on this stuff,
But when you try to fill quotas with just filler, that's different.
For me,
dude.
it's just a difference of ideological opinion. With the affirmative action one, it's, do you believe it's the government's job to create more equality of outcome, or you think it's the government's job to kind of just stay out of the way and don't create undue inequality?
Yeah.
I'm more of like the latter. Like, just don't get in people's ways and enforce your beliefs on what's naturally going to happen.
Right.
Well, I definitely need to dive in a little bit deeper on some of these.
Yeah.
What do we got on 21?
No, well, but Prop 21, this is, funny you should mention transients in Tent City. So Prop 21, Local Rent Control Initiative. It would allow cities to introduce new rent control laws or expand existing ones. Support has raised $16.68 million, with 99.8% from the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and the opposition has raised $16.25 million, including $4.70 million from Essex Property Trust, $117,000 from California Rental Housing Association and other property owner groups. This is a little bit more.
How does the AIDS one have skin in the game? I'm confused.
I have no fucking idea. That's a great question. And this is the summary. It amends state law to allow local governments to establish rent control on residential properties over 15 years old. Allows local limits on annual rent increases to differ from the current statewide limits. It also allows rent increases in rent controlled properties of up to 15% over 3 years at start of new tenancy.
Wait, hold the phone. Okay, now this is in my realm because Omar, you own your
Yes.
house, but I rent. So
I'm a renter as well.
so basically this is saying that if I move into a place today, that my rent can go up upwards of 15% in 3 years. So they can raise my rent by 5% every year.
And up to 7% per year.
Oof, I don't know about this one.
7% per year.
The
So
pros.
all it's saying is, and there's more stipulations. So as long as you don't have more than 2 houses, you're not affected. Say I have my house and I buy one more house and I rent that house out, not affected.
Yeah.
You're only affected if the house, you've had it more than 15 years and you have 3 or more homes. So
Well,
in
what does
effect,
that mean for someone like me? So someone like me, I've lived here in my apartment for 3 years. I live in Huntington Beach. I pay a grip of money, but I live in a complex where they have like fucking 1 million units, right? So does this prop say that they can raise my rent by 5% per year?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, I
No,
mean,
but this-
it's already
Here's-
difficult.
no, that's
No, but
if you vote no on it, then yeah,
right?
that'll
No,
happen.
you understand?
Yeah.
This prop is setting a limit on how much they can raise your rent.
Yes.
It's
And
saying that's
guess-
the limit of how much because otherwise they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? They can,
Yeah.
They're just gonna they're gonna follow the market. Whatever
You know
people
who
are
dri-
willing to pay, they're
Which is,
gonna do it.
which is ridiculous because our market is ridiculous right now, especially when it
but
comes
get-
to rent.
Guess who drafted this one out, man?
Who? Let me guess.
Senator Bernie Sanders. And this
Nice.
is what he said, and I quote,
Nice.
among the 17 million renters in California, the suffering is unabated. Not only do we see increased homelessness, absolutely, but the affordability crisis has reached epic proportions with many people paying 50% or more of their income to keep a roof over their head. He also says that this initiative, this proposition, will allow California cities to pass sensible limits on rent increases and protect families, seniors, and veterans from skyrocketing rents.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, I was born and raised in a 3.5 room rent control apartment in Brooklyn, New York. The most minimal form of economic security was crucial for the family. But today, that type of economic security does not exist. And it doesn't, dude. It does not.
Sure.
And as
Now-
much as like, you know,
Normally, I would be very much against rent control. But this specific bill has stipulations in it. It's not saying rent control
Yeah.
across the board. It's saying that if you have 3+ properties, and if that property you had it more than 15 years, then you fall under rent control.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you probably own most of them outright. It's a business for you at that point, and you're making money off it. It's not the same as somebody who has 1 or 2 houses and is getting by. And we live in such a concentrated city that at some point you have to keep people from having monopolies on property and places to live. You know?
Well, that's one of the hardest parts. I mean, for me, you know, I've moved around a few times here and there because, amenities, but also because of it's just been difficult. You know, times where California is not easy to live in. You know, if you're, well, I mean, you're a homeowner and you have a great job. You've got a great career going, and but not that you're kind of like, which is weird because that used to be the norm. People would have jobs and people would have careers and people would have, you could live off of a one income family and, but times have changed so drastically that, that I would say that probably more of the norm, at least the norm in my circles that I know is, people that are living off of like 2 incomes, renting, and living so much below their means just to get by, and especially in this time right now, like I can't imagine if my lease was up on my apartment in, right now, and they were to up it by 5%. I mean, shit, I can barely afford it right now, let alone I could barely afford it before COVID,
Yeah.
then when the shutdown happened and everything. And, I'm one of those people that is, not essential, because I'm a musician and I'm
Yeah.
a gig worker. So I lost my fucking career. Literally like overnight. It's been really, really weird, but I can't imagine if my lease was up and they increased it by 5%. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even pay what's up. So I mean, if this bill will slow that and at least give us a fighting chance, I mean, I'm all for it. For me.
Well,
I,
here's.
I
Go
agree
ahead,
with it
go
for the
ahead.
most part, and again, it's only because it has very specific stipulations of who it would impact.
Well, it
It's
seems
not
like
gonna-
this bill was very well written. Well, I would say from from all the other bills we've read tonight, I think this one is a little bit more focused.
Here's what happens if it's approved. It says it will hurt renters by discouraging private sector builders from bringing more affordable housing units to the market. Pause. I have not seen private sector builders where I worked all over Los Angeles bringing in more quote unquote affordable housing units to market. Bullshit.
I would take out the word
Bullshit.
affordable, because I would take it, because here in Huntington Beach we've got a lot of developments going up, but the word affordable is
Yeah.
not in those developments. Like, I mean,
No.
they're not.
They're saying that the solution to lowering rental prices won't come from more government mandates and rules. What? Who the fuck's saying that?
I think what
But
they're trying to
instead, from reasonable changes to strict zoning laws, high building costs, and lengthy permitting
No,
processes.
no.
Yeah.
That's-
Well,
What
I
the-
don't
what-
know. I've never built a housing unit. It might be the case that cities are very hard to deal with because there's so many regulations, and so
For
the,
sure.
only,
Right.
the only
sure.
companies, the only companies that can come in and build are big companies who have a background of a bunch of apartments, and so maybe it's going to discourage them from coming in and building new things. I can see that argument to a certain extent.
Yeah, but from what I see on the daily, it's not the case, because
But
we have-
remember, 15 years old. Remember that.
Yeah, true.
That stipulation.
But so what
That's
we have
what makes
is we
it.
have
Yeah.
what they're saying, though, is they're saying that the cons is this bill is gonna stop people from coming in and building more affordable housing. That's what they say, affordable
But
housing.
remember, the bill within it has a stipulation if it has to be 15 years old.
Yeah.
So that means it doesn't discourage you.
Well, I think that what it does is it discourages the rate of inflation. So what we're talking about is like supply and demand, right? So
Right.
if we have we have so many different apartments that we can all live in. What they're saying is that this bill, keeping all the rent low and making it so difficult for people to come in and make affordable housing, that they're not going to come in and make the housing, so it's going to become more clustered, which I think is horseshit.
And
because-
here's the thing.
well, hold
who
on.
just-
Let me finish this
Yeah,
thought real quick.
please.
I think it's horseshit because all the time that I see all the different developments that are coming, especially Huntington Beach, but in surrounding areas, Fountain Valley, Costa Mesa, Garden Grove, we have these like luxury apartments that are coming up, and I'm sure you see them in downtown LA as well.
Fuck
These
yeah.
luxury lofts that are coming up. I lived in downtown LA, and I lived in one of those high rises, and it's ridiculous. And even Huntington Beach was cheaper than the downtown LA.
Downtown LA.
Like, so, but I lived on the 12th floor across from the Staples Center, and I paid a grip of money. But
Yeah, but look at the location.
so going back to this, what I'm saying is they're saying that these companies, they're discouraging companies from coming into Huntington Beach, and I'm using Huntington Beach because I live there. They're discouraging these companies to come in and build affordable housing, which they're not. They're coming in and they're building these luxury,
Correct.
right on the beach stuff that literally, like, a 500 square foot, apartment costs $5,000 to rent. That's not an affordable, thing. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can get behind what they're saying there.
Yeah. That's a hard. Well, this has to pass. So I would say.
Here's the thing.
Vote
Who
yes.
decides? My problem though is who decides how low it's gonna go.
It
Or
should
where
be
it's
the
gonna
government,
stop,
man.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
should be the government.
but at some point, what if the people who are deciding the prices are essentially having control over who gets to survive and who doesn't?
Yeah.
And then they're just
Well, dude, that's
giving-
why you're seeing such a huge Cal exit right now. Like, people are bouncing, and people are vocal about it too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
literally on their U-Haul, they're putting signs that say, taxpayer, California taxpayer leaving California, because I just can't hang here no more. I mean, I'll be honest, man, I'm pretty close to that. It's not easy to live here, under my circumstances, anyways. And I don't really live like a luscious, like I'm not going out to dinner every night and doing all that. I'm pretty thrifty and pretty budgeted, but we all know that California is one of the highest taxed, tax states.
I'm with you, man. I'm here because of my family. But
Oh shit, John Lawson, what's up? You
But
finally
at some-
tuned in.
hey, how's it going? But at some point, I'm leaving. Probably in about 2 years, actually.
Where are you going?
Houston.
Nice.
Man, why is everyone going to Texas? What the fuck?
Well, there's multiple reasons for me. I gotta be near the water because I love to fish. It's
You
a
like
good
the smell
location
of
right there.
pussy.
I can visit Austin. I can go to New Orleans. I can go up to the Ozarks.
I'll be right back.
I can
All
fly
right.
to the Yucatan or Tampa. That's a
Right.
good location. Now it's hot as fucking hell.
Yeah, why?
Sorry.
Yeah, see, my buddy John Fields right here. Yeah, he's from Nashville, Tennessee. Came to
Is he?
LA.
Why'd he come
Yeah,
here? Nashville's cool, man.
He's another. What do you guys call each other? People in the Navy?
Squid.
He's a fellow squid for you. So
He's a squid?
he's what was he? I know he's a medic.
Corbin?
Yeah, is that Corman? There you go. Buzz Bobbiello. Corman up. Remember that? No, but here ultimately, man, I know gentrification gets thrown a lot, like, but in a different sense. It's more like marginalization as much as it is a fucking geographic science. And this bill proves it, man. It's like how in the fuck can you say that you're coming in to build affordable housing? That is a crock of shit, man. Crock of shit. That's not true, man. And
I don't want affordable housing though. I just want housing. The minute they start calling it affordable housing, I get suspicious. Somebody's
it's like they're
taking
decorating
a middleman,
the cake.
a middleman cut.
All they did was they instead of a chocolate dip fucking strawberry, it was a chocolate dip fucking habanero chile, bro, and you just bit into it. That's what it is. It's all in the presentation. It's all the tone and delivery and how it's typed up, like we're reading right now. That's what we're breaking this shit down. And which brings me to Prop 22, and this is the one I got to remind Whit about the lobbyist for Prop 22. I bookmarked it, Whit, so that way we could talk about it.
Oh yeah.
I know also Omar. Me and Omar, we played in. Actually, it was my very first little fucking garage band, whatever. He was already like in 30 other bands because he was a band whore. But when you fucking Omar, look at that.
Johnny Reyes.
Fucking Johnny Reyes. I didn't know he was on the podcast. So Prop 22, all right? Prop 22. Self-employment, keyword, not just for ride hail and app drivers. Self-employment. So this proposition would consider app-based drivers to be independent contractors and not employees and not agents. Therefore, the ballot measure would override AB5, Whit. Remember AB5? Yep.
I'm all for it. 100%.
Signed last year. Remember, I was text messaging you guys of this shit. I'm like, dude, look out for this fucking bill, man.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on it. Fucking read about it.
Yeah.
And on the question of whether app-based drivers are employees or independent contractors, this does not just apply to app-based drivers. It's conceptually the ABC rule. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Omar. Okay, well, I'll explain. So support has raised $111 million, including $30 million from Lyft, $30 million from Uber, and $30 million from DoorDash. Opposition has raised $866,591 with the Transport Workers Union of America.
That's a
providing
big
$500,000. Okay. Me and Whit are very fucking passionate about this fucking prop, dude, because we're going to vote yes.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Because
this needs to fucking pass.
Because you're for right to work, gig work. Right?
Yeah, it's the gig economy. That's what Steel Rod does, by the way. That's their livelihood.
Yeah.
That's what I do for a living.
Uber and Lyft is like a job that anybody can do at any time. It can make you money. Just I got an hour to work. You know, like anybody can do it at any time.
Yeah.
Not if this bill passes.
Yeah.
Not if they keep. Well, I don't know how it's structured, but
no, this bill is countering it and getting rid of it.
So it's basically like that Uber and Lyft would be great the way it is. Like, hey, if I've got an extra couple hours and I want to work, great. But the way AB5 was set up is that they're like, no, we're looking out for you because we want you to get a living wage and we want you to get overtime and get this and get that. But at the same time, they're saying you need to have a set schedule and you need to have benefits and you need to have this. So you need to get paid this and have, income tax taken.
So now you don't have no more cheap rides and no more just riding whenever you want.
And also no more doing Lyft when you can. You do Lyft when they tell you to, because now you're an employee. You're not an independent contractor.
Or you have to choose a shift on the app. And I know this because I did this for 9 months, Omar. I started last year in August, and I just stopped in March because of COVID.
My buddy Vince did it. My buddy Adrian did it. Now they're both. One has his own business now, and one is actually out of work because he's a Hollywood grip and everything. That's all shut down. And he has his own work truck. But however, he did that in the in between and made good money. It was like the way that they got by while they were figuring out what they were going to do.
Exactly, and that was me too.
And it's that kind of job. It's like for the hustler who's figuring things out.
Yeah,
I think that's a great industry, and they're trying to take it away.
Yeah,
well, they're trying to regulate it. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to regulate it the way they want to regulate it. And okay, like I said earlier, I got something to say on this because we were talking earlier about lobbyists and PACs and super PACs and stuff like that. Because here's, when you look at independent contractors, lawyers are independent contractors, doctors are independent contractors. Why is it that? There are some. So, but when I was going over when they introduced AB5, I'm like, how come they're not? Why are they exempt from this? Why are they exempt from AB5, but musicians are hit? And they wrote AB5 mostly for the Lyft and Uber because they're.
So wait a minute. Yeah. You wouldn't be allowed to just be a gig musician?
Oh no!
You had to be an employee of Turnbull's Tavern.
So
28 West.
I went through this, bro. I went through this back when they introduced it because every
exactly that was my reaction, Omar.
Every establishment that I worked for, they all talked with me and they're like, okay, what do we have to do now to stay in compliance? Because basically we had to be employees. So now I worked in Steel Rod back then. Anyways, I worked 5 to 6 nights a week at different venues every night of the week. So that means I would have to be not a 1099 employee, not an independent contractor. I would have to be a W-2 employee from Havana House 28 West, Turnbull's Tavern, Dejas, Kings Row. Like, I would have to literally.
It's insane.
You're telling me. So, and at the same time, they were going to have to take out, income tax. What is it? Unemployment tax. It's like we talked about earlier. Follow the money. The thing is, they introduced AB5 because a lot of these independent contractors, they're not paying income tax and unemployment tax and all. So there's a lot of money that's going over the heads of the state. And, but here's the thing. What they don't realize is at the end of the year, I pay my taxes like everybody else. Actually, everybody gets a tax return, right?
Right.
Not me. I pay my taxes every year. Every year I pay taxes. I don't get money back. I'm an independent contractor. And when I get paid every week or every day or every month or whoever I get paid from, they don't take any taxes out. I get my full check. But at the end of the year, you better believe Uncle Sam is knocking on my door. So,
like, hey, Whit, our money about that.
About all that money you made last year. Yeah. So
it's not there. It's gone.
But here's the thing: what I personally enjoy about being an independent contractor is that I can make my hours. I can work when I want. I can negotiate the rate that I want. There are things that I can write off for my business. Those are my write-offs. So instead, my gap.
I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that they involved other independent contractors in this. Like, they made it like this sweeping bill.
So let me tell you this. This is why, because I had to wrap my head around it. I was like, how come I'm lumped into this? Like, I have friends who are chiropractors and they own their own business. They're like, why am I lumped into this? I'm an independent contractor. Like, there's, masseuses, they're independent contract. There's literally, you wouldn't believe.
Hairstylists, the list goes on, man.
You're talking about literally like 65 to 70% of the workers in Southern California are gig economy workers.
Yep.
We are 1099 independent contractors. So I kind of see the argument that the lady, what was her name? Lorena something from San Diego. She was
Lorena Gonzalez.
She's the basically one that introduced the bill AB5, and her reasoning was, she says that we're looking after you. We're looking after the Lyft driver, making sure that you get your paid sick days, and we're making sure that you get your unemployment days, and we're making sure. The thing is, most people who work these gigs, they're not looking for that. Like people like me, like, I'm not looking for you to pay my sick days. I work, and I want to work for money, and I want to work when I want to work. So the fact that you're trying to force me into
this system of if I wanted a 9 to 5, I would go work a 9 to 5.
I would go find a 9 to 5. So, and what I had to wrap my head around was, how come some of these dominant fields are not lapped into it, but I am? Well, that's because they can afford. They have money. They have lobbyists. They have PACs. They have super PAC. They have all these people that have influence, so they can go and say, hey, this is a great thing for all these other people, but we're set up, so let's we're going to contribute to your campaign for next year, and we're going to eliminate, exclude us from this because we're exempt, because we're doctors or we're lawyers or we're this or we're that, but the music industry, we don't have lobbyists, we don't have that power, so we get lumped into it. And
they're trying to kill the purest forms of capitalism, right? The non-corrupt versions of capitalism.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I'm a firm believer that pure capitalism does not exist anymore, man. It doesn't.
It exists on a small scale.
It's like this, for example, and it's
when you buy the elote on the street, capitalism.
Exactly. It's like, fuck, man. Like, the other thing too is like, I know not just musicians, but I also know people that, like me, for example, we work a full-time job, and some of us took a pay cut with the new job, some of us didn't, but supplemental income is crucial for a household, especially if you're middle class, man.
Especially in California.
Yes.
No.
You know, yeah, you want to save up for that vacation. You want to get away to San Diego. You want to go out of state. You want a plane ticket to Cabo, whatever, dude.
You got to be able to hustle.
Exactly, man. And you mean to tell me that I have to have 2 jobs, 2 W-4 jobs for that? No, dude. I don't think so.
I think we figured it out. We're completely against. We're for this bill.
Yeah,
We're for
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
but it's apparently it's like they're demonizing these companies because now they've announced like, okay, they're going to pull it from California if this actually doesn't pass. So there goes Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Postmates out of California, and who knows? I mean, they might move it to another state, and guess what? People will probably
so they're
follow.
done for now. They're done until this. But dude,
Until
they're smart.
November will be
That's the best thing they could do because everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, we want Uber back." Fucking vote against it.
So
Or
we're
vote for it,
voting.
vote for it.
So we're voting
For-
for this.
for
Like,
it,
we're
Yes,
definitely voting.
We wanted
for
to
this.
pass. That's a yes. So,
And anybody who
Um,
enjoys Steel Rod music,
Hey,
Yes.
yes, on this
Well,
because
yes.
I'm in an out of work cover band too. I want to be able to go back and fucking fuck around on the weekends.
yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I think I have a personal, a stake in this.
No, that's your
job.
full time work. That's
This
like
is
your
my
livelihood.
full time job.
Yeah,
This is what I do to support my
yeah.
family. So, this is what I do to support my family. So,
Yep.
I'm gonna fight on this one. I'm
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, I took this career
I'm
20 years ago.
110, man. Yep.
Yeah.
So Prop 23 is dialysis clinic requirements. So this is something I'm not versed in. Maybe you can help me, Omar. So Prop 23 would require chronic dialysis clinics to have a minimum of 1 licensed physician present at the clinic and to report data on dialysis-related infections to the state and federal health officials. The ballot measure would also state that a chronic dialysis clinic cannot discriminate with respect to offering or providing care, nor refuse to offer or to provide care on the basis of who is responsible for paying for a patient's treatment. So
they're saying they have to give treatment for free?
is that what they're saying or no?
Yeah, they're saying they can't. They're saying they're wording it in a way that sounds pretty, but they're saying if you don't have money and you don't have insurance, they still have to treat you. That's what I'm hearing.
So, but that's going to increase state and local government costs, likely in the low tens of millions of dollars annually.
So, dialysis is a medical service that is pretty expensive and relatively new, and only one company really does it well. That's DaVita.
Yeah.
And so what they're trying to do is limit DaVita's ability to make profits because they pretty much have a monopoly on the game right now.
Wow, no shit.
It's pretty much going down. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they want to eliminate the monopoly, why don't they fund another company to come up and do just as good a job?
Or just force them to split. So there was a time when America used to break up monopolies. We don't do that anymore. We just join companies together into these big,
right,
megalodon companies.
I had AirTouch.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
I had Suncom, and then it was AT&T.
And then it was AT&T, and then it was.
and then I got the chirp next to.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not too versed in this, so
their solution is to tell them, well, you have to treat everyone as if anyone can get service. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Prostitute, alcoholic, all that. All right, I got to do more research on that one. But let's move to Prop 24 because 24 is very crucial. 24, consumer privacy protections. I'm sure everyone's noticed this when you visit a fucking website. Accept cookies. Please do not sell my information. Every website you visit, it's a fucking thing. So if it passes, it would strengthen California's consumer privacy law and establish a California Privacy Protection Agency. So
No.
support.
No.
Okay. 4.76 million has been raised from
had me at
Alistair
first.
McTaggart.
You
Like,
want
is
to
this
set
like-
up an agency that gets to decide what is and what isn't released? No. No, fuck you and your agency.
Is this like Space
More
Force?
bureaucracy. No more
Is this
bureaucracy.
like Space
No.
Force?
I was like,
So-
oh yeah, no, protect my privacy. Wait. You want to set up a task force? Fuck you and your task force.
So, if you're not familiar with the CCPA, abbreviated for the California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018, this past 2 years ago, it basically removed the ability of businesses to fix violations before being penalized for violations. They were basically grabbing all your personal information. Not even like at your request, man. They were just like, oh, into your email here, like especially when you would log into a public Wi-Fi, and to grant access, you're not supposed to enter your email. You're not.
So
There's no law stating that you have to enter an email to get access to
this is gonna
Wi-Fi.
stop who from doing what?
Okay, Facebook is one of them. Cambridge Analytica, that whole thing that happened. That was the big. I guess someone getting caught with the fucking hand in the cookie jar. What they were doing is they were sharing consumers' personal information. They were not giving consumers the option to opt out because there was sensitive information. There was breaches. There was all kinds of shit, man. I mean, I know this because I have a paid service from my internet service provider that tells me if my email's been leaked consistently and where it came from and what they're trying to do. And that's where the spam calls come from. That's where those log into your Netflix account here because your username has been compromised or whatever. Or then you get like those crazy like, want to meet sexy girls in Rosemead? Click here.
I wish I got more of those.
Yeah. Got any cocoa butter?
It's so fucking crazy. It's like, but
Bring it over here.
The law states that these companies have to obtain permission before collecting data from consumers who are younger than 16. And I agree, because the whole pedophilia thing that me and Whit so soundly fucking, I guess now we're lobbying about, like, hey, if this is wrong, it needs to go away, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be a long mission. But yeah,
So-
they have to obtain permission, dude, from the parents before getting all that data.
Yeah, you had me at protect my information. You
Yes.
lost me at create a task force. To do it.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Like,
post-COVID, dude,
How
post-pandemic.
big is this task force? And 30 fucking assholes sitting in a fucking office jerking off my taxpayer money?
It's
No.
4 guys and Michael Scott from The Office.
Okay, how many of them are persons of color?
Okay, let me ask you guys both this question.
Passes.
Look,
Let me
I
ask you
want
guys
one
both this
Mongolian, at least one Mongolian. Okay?
Damn. Let me ask you guys this question. Do you read the terms of service when you sign up for something?
Absolutely not.
No. Fuck no.
That's where they get you.
Here's the thing. I already know that the terms of service mean I'm giving up a lot of shit. So
Yeah.
to me, it just depends on how badly do I want to use this app. So
Right.
you know, and
Now-
that's just 100. Like when it comes to Facebook, I already know that you're going to use my shit. It's bottom line, it's going to happen. You know,
right now it's even more prominent, Omar. You know why, right? Because of COVID tracing.
COVID
It's
tracing.
on
which
every
apps are using COVID tracing?
It's not an app. If you look into your settings of your native operating system from your Android or iOS phone, it's
on
already updated in there.
Yeah, but how does it even work? I don't understand.
I
Like,
have
it's
no
way too
idea.
hard for me. But it's there. I've seen it.
The only
are
thing,
they tracking, like, if I tell a family member I got COVID? Like, I don't get
Who
it.
knows?
I
That
want to
doesn't even
say
work.
yes, because for
I don't get it.
for that very reason, and I'll paraphrase what Edward Snowden talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's the reason why you can't pull your battery out of your phone anymore. You guys do know that, right? Remember how
Well,
you used to be able to do a battery pull?
There are still phones that you can't do that with. Like my last phone, it was like I actually looked for a one that you could pull your battery out, and it was like an LG.
And those are the ones you actually want to get, but those are the ones that don't have the bells and whistles anymore.
Well, actually, LG makes the best. LG has the best DAC. It's really good. Yeah, really good.
Okay, hold on. We're getting way off topic. What is this? So on the real, Prop 24, consumer privacy protections. What the fuck is this telling us? If we vote yes, what is it saying? If we vote no,
it's going to enforce it, but
I need more details because on one hand it's saying protect your privacy. On the other hand, it's saying fund a task force.
Yeah. Now I feel like
agency. How much is that going to cost?
Well, they already raised 4.76 million.
Hold on, let me tell you this. I read some of the pros and cons of this. So people who are for this bill, they said, especially post-COVID, people are going to be more sensitive to privacy concerns. I feel strongly, and polling shows that Californians want more control over their personal information. So basically saying that we will have more control over our information and what they use. Okay, I get that. But some of the cons, so these are people that are against the bill, they said, no one reads I can't remember.
Exactly.
No one reads the thousands of words of legal fine print that you have to accept before you can use the app or visit the website. The fine print is where you sacrifice your privacy. The same is true of Proposition 24. It's 52 pages of full privacy reductions and giveaways to Facebook, social media platforms, and big tech companies that misuse your personal information.
Oh, shit.
So, I'm kind of thinking like
giveaways to Facebook.
Look, pretty much, I feel like what we've arrived at is if we can't put our finger on what they're selling us exactly because it's big, fuck off. No.
Yeah.
You know, like we're really confused about exactly what it entails.
Yeah. I mean, so what they're saying is that people that are for this bill say that we want more protection and more security of our information. And people that are against it are saying, listen, you already gave up your privacy when you said accept. So what the fuck do you care? You know, and God, fuck, I kind of get both. Like I kind of get it. Like you're right.
Again, this is one of those that's so eloquently typed out.
It's giving money to people to then decide.
See, I didn't see any fiscal. Is there any fiscal impact?
Well, it said set up a task force.
That
where
the
you
fiscal impact of
that's what he said.
Well, protection agency, yeah. Well, it's same shit.
Protection agency.
Same shit, yeah.
It's gonna create a new department in California, and guess where that money is gonna come from to fund it?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost money.
Fucking suck.
Yep, one more.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a rock and a hard place with this shit. Yeah, I do want my honestly, my shit protected, but at the same time,
it's not because you know what? Like they said in the cons, man. Anytime we're faced and Omar, just like you said, dude. Anytime we're faced with a new app or new something, and you go to the terms and services, Edgar, just like you said. Bottom line is you're like, yeah, okay. Like scroll down to the bottom of the 52 pages of shit. And you're like, accept because I want to use this app. You know, you didn't even spend the fucking 27 minutes that's going to take to read all this shit. So, you know, you obviously don't care about the privacy settings and what information you're sending anyways. So now all of a sudden this bill is saying, no, you should really care about it.
Yeah,
they have all that shit.
And bottom line is, dude, with the tech that's going on now, if they want my info, they're gonna fucking get it. Like, come on. Like my iPhone has the encryption capability.
Yeah, they're gonna get it regardless. Yeah.
Come on, keep it real. All right, so 25.
25 is basically the last one. Prop 25. It's replace cash bail with risk assessments. This proposition would end the state's cash bail system. and gives judges the right to determine whether someone who is arrested should be kept behind bars based on the risk they are deemed to pose to themselves or others. So 1.36 million has been raised by Action Now initiative. They were the largest donor, 500,000. Opposition was 4.24 million. Damn, okay. Including 921,000 from Triton Management Services LLC and the bail bond industry. Yeah. Bail bond is all the bail bonds that you see outside Twin Towers, they will be gone. Look at the puppies. Look at the puppies. So, for example, you guys are familiar with SB 10, right?
No.
SB 10. Here's one of the things that you typed out here that you pasted on that I remember reading a long time ago when it passed. The biggest flaw that the state bill 10 had is the use of computer programs to make important justice decisions. Why the fuck are you going to trust an algorithm to decide to basically determine the rest of your fucking life? Yeah. And it's the same type of algorithms that big data companies have.
Just embrace our computer overlords.
It's like what's you ever seen Elysium? It's just your parole officer's a fucking machine. Yeah.
It's like, would you like 2 of these pills?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, man? So, yeah, so now wealthy people can simply write big checks. And the reality is that California is the biggest bail market and has the highest bail rates in the country.
But that's what happens right now. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop that from happening. So, like, basically, if I'm a billionaire and I go commit some act of whatever, and I'm in front of a judge, and the judge is like, okay, bail's at 7 million. And I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, whatever. 7 million's pocket change to me. No, then I can get out. But if Edgar is, living in Montebello and living in an apartment and doesn't have any money, and your bail is 7 million, you're going to jail. So the difference is, like, the bail, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the bail away and giving the power to the judge to be like, okay, are you a flight risk? Are you a risk for doing this? And now it just gives it to me.
But there's 2 parts, right? There's 2 parts.
2 parts.
Risk assessment. So now it's giving it to the judge, but also there's an algorithm that is involved with this. This is the weirdest shit I've seen. That now all of a sudden we're going to go to not only is the judge allowed to be like, okay, the risk assessment, but now there's an algorithm as well. And so, I mean, fuck, we might as well be at a slot machine and be like, spin the wheel, Johnny. And like,
you don't get, according to the machine, you don't get bail.
Let's see what you get. And you're like, oh, you go to jail. Like,
you get no ice cream. You get no ice cream because you can't afford it.
But that reminds me of one of the previous ones where we were talking about, okay, because you committed this class of crime that society in general frowns upon because, well, now you don't get to have a fair shake and whether or not you get parole.
Yeah. Right.
It's the same thing going on. They're trying to create
They're lapping everything together. They're lapping a lot. Like, it's like you're taking the lowest of low crimes and the biggest of big crimes, and you're putting them all in the same thing, and you're saying like, oh, everything is decided from this. It's like, whoa, shit! Like, you can't take it as a case by case situation. However, you guys do the show.
Yeah, that's why we did this, Dan, because it's crucial if we're all living in California. And we need to vote on this stuff. I mean, granted, this is the part I want to kind of like just say my piece with this voting system. I'll state this for a fact. I think I've said this before. I have not voted for a head of state since 2000. Doesn't mean I don't vote. Period. I vote on local and state elections, especially propositions. I have left that section of the ballot blank since 2004. So don't let me influence you on who do you want to vote for on the federal level. You decide. I know right now there's a big divide with this shit, and it's kind of it's weird. It's very strange.
I'm voting Teddy Roosevelt.
Fuck.
Man's man.
Hulk Hogan.
The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson. But nonetheless, I mean, these are just the propositions in our state, and that's not including all the elected officials, all the to be elected officials that are going to be on the ballot as well. And you know, once voting time comes around, which is very soon, I believe October, if we're going to be doing this mail-in thing, October is actually when you're supposed to be submitting your vote by mail.
That's something we got to look at.
Mail. I'm telling you right now.
I've never voted
I want to
by
see
mail.
it go in the machine and see the readout.
Why can't we do it with a fingerprint? Your iPhone, your smartphone can fingerprint open your fucking phone, but you can't vote online with a fingerprint. I don't get it.
We should be able to do that. That makes sense too.
Yes, it's like
Edgar, were we talking about this offline or on here? That when I said the whole thing about depositing money, that was offline, right?
That was offline. Yeah.
You know, I saw this thing. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or some social media platform that they were talking about. Somebody had said like, so how come we can literally take a picture of a check and have it deposited from somebody's account into somebody else's account with verification numbers and reference numbers and, you know, blah, 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 and all this stuff. This is all legit, but we can't, but our voting system is so out of date that we gotta literally go down there and mark a check.
That requires every person to vote to get in there and register into a system that is verifiable.
Right.
Now, if internet and computers are readily available to everyone, I mean, you can go down to your local library. I've done it before. Even lately, I mean, I've done it before. You can go down to we could designate school districts for that. You know, I mean, look at how many computers they have at my college, at Golden West College.
Yeah.
You know, on election day, they could designate that. I mean, bottom line is there's a better way. But the reason why we have this raggedy ass old fucking way of voting, it's by design. You know,
sure, but it's better than it used to be. Now, before you have to go to one polling place. Now you can go to anywhere. Yeah. Anywhere. It's really easy now.
It's like I wanted Chico's to go vote.
No, like so the last time I had to vote, I looked it up while I was at work, and I was like, shit, between work, and I work in Santa Fe Springs at the time, and I live in Montebello, and there was literally like 5 different polling places on the way home that I could have voted at. I'd take my fucking pick. So it's not like it's that hard.
Yeah, but can you go to because last time I voted, they sent me the registration. I could either vote by mail or I had to go to my polling place, which was.
Wait, you weren't open to go anywhere? The last time I voted, there were like 5. I can go anywhere. In California now, it's open.
They gave me the address of where I had to go, and.
Wow, shit. That's interesting.
I thought that changed. I thought it was now. Maybe it's an LA County thing.
Maybe. I'm in Orange County. Maybe that was different.
The last time I voted, there was no polling.
But like, how crazy is that it's different from county to county, state to state? You know,
district to district, dude.
And I mean, when I was in college and when we were talking a lot about, you know, government and gerrymandering, and our districts are this is ridiculous how everything is drawn, and you know, our voting system and the electoral college. Now, you know, you've got so many different things that we can talk about how we can make this fair and why it's not fair. But bottom line is, for me anyways, this is just my own personal opinion, but bottom line, I think that our voting system needs to be, you know, drastically upgraded, because we're not changing 100%. With our times. We're in this digital time where we're doing. I mean, shit, we are trading fucking cryptocurrency on the daily, but we can't update our voting. You know, we can't make it. I mean, wasn't it in the Obama administration that he said everyone gets a cell phone?
Yeah, Obama phone
like that. So if everybody has a phone, how come everybody can't vote on their damn phone? But like, I mean, there's so many different conversations that we can have about that. The problem is there's no conversations being had about it. We're staying in this raggedy old way of voting where I need to go down to the church parking lot around the corner from my house and scribble in my circle. We're in 2020.
So I do think that we need to have both. I like the idea of having a paper trail for recounting.
Right. Yeah.
And I like the idea of that paper trail being inserted into a machine.
Okay.
Now, if you can create an electronic system that is completely secure and advanced, sure. But
I think that we have the capability of that. Don't you think? I mean, look at all the things that we buy online through PayPal, through there's so many secure networks that we have, and so many. I mean, and look at how much we buy on Amazon. We buy stuff on Amazon, so I buy all kinds of stuff on Amazon. And if something is wrong, I set up a ticket, and shit is handled quickly. So
because you have an institution that cares about their money,
exactly.
The bank that cares about their money, and you have you that cares about your money and your product, and so you're all keeping each other in line.
With Amazon, you have a company who cares about their brand, So and they care about the way that they do things, and and the way that they're perceived, and there's a lot of things that go into that. But when you come down to voting, it's like that's why I'm kind of thinking that.
But remember that's a secret thing. Like you vote, but do you really know what happens? Are you completely sure?
Exactly.
I mean, when you order from Amazon, 2 days later the item shows up.
Yeah,
good to go.
Oh,
but
dude, I literally
know that your vote goes somewhere.
Yeah, I even have an email with a picture of my package on
you're
my
just
door.
Trusting the system,
I have an email with a picture of my package on the door, like, hey, this is where it is. It's there. We send it. It's delivered.
I got that plus my ring. It's Eufy, actually. I have a Eufy. It tells me, oh, yeah, somebody just walked up to your door. Oh, yeah, that's my package. Good to go.
So how come with our voting system, I can't go on some type of database and look through millions of names and see, there's my name voting for this? You know what I mean? Like,
that would be convenient.
I think
it's by design, like you were saying.
That would be full transparency.
Like, for example, when you voted, then you can walk outside, look at the system, and see, oh, yep, that's where I voted. Log in.
Right?
Oh, yep, that's who I voted for.
Exactly.
Verified. I'm sure that somebody can make that happen, but I'm not sure that they want it.
Just look at all the Vegas. Look at all the Vegas sports books in Vegas and New Jersey by the millions, dude. How the fuck are we not able to vote like that? Yeah, I agree. Have a paper trail just for keepsakes, that's for sure. But we need to incorporate a hybrid method of fucking voting, and we have not done that. Like, for example, when I was shocked, I'll give you an example. The DMV was a long time ago. You can set up an appointment online. I'm like, you can set up an appointment at the DMV? What the fuck? Yeah, but it's you take what they give you. And I'm like, there's a catch to it.
I feel like there's something been lost. Like, I feel like when you go to the DMV, you're supposed to spend like 5 hours in Torque. It's not the same anymore.
No, it's like, you
oh my God.
all your life.
I just went to the DMV 3 days ago, right? I had to pay the registration on my wife's Jeep. And so I get down there and I'm like, with COVID and everything, it's going to be like social distancing and this and that and whatever. And I was like, but I just got to pay the registration show. So I should be able to use the kiosk inside, which is awesome. I love that. Have you ever used it? It's great.
Yeah.
You can just roll in, kiosk, boom, beep. I'm done with my registration in like 2 minutes. So
your tags are like.
It turns out a machine could do the job of 3 DMV workers.
Right.
Yes.
So I get down there, and like, sure enough, there's this crazy, ridiculous COVID line around places. Like, everyone is 12 feet apart because 6 isn't enough. And so I walked up, and luckily there was a lady right at the back of the line that with a clipboard that was kind of like asking, "What are you here for? What are you here for?" And I walked up and I had my registration. I said, I just want to use the kiosk and just get this. Is that possible? And she's like, follow me. And I was like, damn. So I rolled right in. There was nobody in line. I felt bad because, like, you kind of feel like one of the people in the carpool lane passing everybody on the 210. And you're just
I-
zooming by. And you're like, "What's up, y'all?"
You're like,
So-
I have a transponder.
I had the same experience coming in from like traveling internationally.
Yeah.
Did you know that there's like an app that you can download to check in through customs quick?
Yes, the world's.
Yeah.
No, it's like an check-in or something like, and like
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
knows about it, so everyone's standing in line for their shit. And I walk in, and there's like one person ahead of me, and every time I've done it like 4 times now, and apparently nobody's got the memo. There's always like one dickhead waiting there for fucking.
No, I felt. I mean, I kind of felt bad, but at the same time, I was just like I felt like that dude in the fast track that's like later, like just by him, like zooming by, and I zoomed by everyone. I walked right in. Literally, the dude that was still at the door when I walked out with my tags, he was still at the door, and I was like,
You're like, hey, you might want to learn how to use that thing. It's
There's a kiosk right there, right?
yeah.
Same thing with Costco. Costco has like as you're walking out when you finish with your shit, you
To
can
order my
enter your
pizza.
order for your pizza.
See,
and my hot dog.
okay, but hold up. This is where I have to take my old school rules of surfing and apply it to regular life. So years ago when I started surfing, we went to this one spot and it was the greatest spot to go surfing. And as soon as we got done surfing, we came down and we're like, the idea is you don't tell anybody about this spot. Because
It's okay. Only like
about
2 people are watching this podcast. We're good.
So every time that we won out, they're like, "Oh, dude, how was the surf?" And we're like, "Oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's terrible, man. It was the waves were just top to bottom. It was horrible. You don't even want to go there." Like we literally talk every spot down as
It's
much
like
as we can.
it's like a fisherman, right? You find a spot, you don't tell fucking nobody.
People ask me about the fast track. I'm like, "Don't get it. It's not worth it."
Yeah.
You're like, we saw a
Meanwhile, I
shark.
use it every fucking day.
Dan Ochoa is still online, so we still got someone. Well, I mean, we're going on 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I think
I'm just
we
having a
covered
great time hanging with
lot.
you guys. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Going over these props tonight was probably the one of the coolest podcasts I think we've done. I think it was very beneficial to people. I think it also was beneficial to me anyways, just to hear your guys' thoughts on things, because I mean, me and Edgar, we go way back and we talk about a lot of things and we disagree on stuff and we agree on stuff.
Especially
And
your music.
Omar, you opened my eyes to a couple of things that I didn't even think about. So the cool thing about this, I think, if you roll into a podcast like this with an open mind and be willing to hear different points of view, I think this is really cool that we can learn something from each other and see what we think and see what we don't think and go from there and hopefully we learn something about these things that are very important for us in California to vote on. So thank you, Edgar. Thank you, Omar. Thank you guys for your input. I really do appreciate it.
I think ultimately, I always like to say this and repeat, and I can't say it enough, but I don't believe in cognitive dissonance. I don't. And for those who don't know what cognitive dissonance is basically a really, really bad form of denial and narcissism. And I'm never afraid of saying, "Hey, I was wrong. You made me see things in a different light." And in the same token, to deny each other's differences is to deny who we truly are as people. That's what makes this world. It's like, I'm going to quote Tony Robbins for like the millionth time. If you knew what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen, how would you feel? Bored out of your fucking mind. But at the same time, that's a human need that we need. It's certainty. Like we want to make sure the fucking roof over our heads is gonna hold, dude. Mm-hmm. But we also have uncertainty, variety, the spice of life. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like surprises. I call them problems. I don't know how you guys view them. Like
surprises.
Yeah. Do you like surprises? Because I don't.
Yeah. There's like
even
good
if it's
surprises
like a
and not-
surprise,
Yeah.
we're going to a kegger. Woo-hoo.
I mean, listen, surprise fellatio is always fantastic.
But what if you not? What if you have whiskey dick?
All right, it takes longer. All right.
Look at Omar's face. Well, you know,
Still good.
It's,
you just rub your nipples a little bit just to get a boost.
did he just say it's still good?
Still good. Nothing bad about it.
But shit. Hey, let's
for
plan
me.
let's plan a follow-up podcast with the three of us because there's more ground to cover with this shit on another term. And I know,
You know what? I think we should definitely, I know it's definitely in the future, but let's plan the three of us get together after the election, and and let's. I mean, literally, we just went down every prop that California is voting on. I think maybe we should get together and say, okay, this is what actually happened, and this is what the future holds for our state.
And I'll say this with the most, diplomacy, I guess I want to say, the same energy that all these people are showing the current head of state, which is Donald Trump, the same energy, the same force, whatever. And this is just my, hypothetically, say he does lose the election, we get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I expect, it's only fair, I expect that same energy that you had for this man who's currently in office with the next administration. It's only fucking fair. Yeah, I'm a true believer.
What energy? You mean questioning what they do?
The questioning, the protesting, the who, what, when, where, the fact checking. It's only fair. I'm a true believer that our democracy has been hijacked by the two-party system.
Yeah,
and they paint it in a certain way to make you, swing with the pendulum when it's swinging too heavy on one side. I don't like to quote Noam Chomsky. I don't like to quote Zach De La Rocha, Tom Morello, because they all have their own point of views. I take bits and pieces from every political spectrum, make it into my own. And that's just me. I mean, everyone else can do, they have their own method to their madness. But just because you wear the red hat with the white, Times New Roman fucking font, does not mean you care about your local and state elections.
Wait, red hat? What are you talking about?
The MAGA hat. The MAGA hat.
Oh, the MAGA hat.
Yes, I've said this countless number of times.
You're
just
saying
because
that
you wear them,
because you wear that doesn't mean that you care about stuff?
Yeah, because there's a big misconception with just because you wear the team colors, right? Just because you wear the jersey, just like, for example, I'll give you a really, really dumbed down example. When you come up to a 17-year-old kid and they're wearing a Metallica Kill 'Em All shirt, and you ask them, "Fuck, I love that album."
I'm down with that motherfucker.
Yeah, and then what happens?
Yeah, but if you can't name any song,
what do they end up telling you? They end up telling you, "Oh, I just like it because I saw it on sale at Target or Hot Topic. I don't even like the
never
band."
happened with a Kill 'Em All shirt.
Okay, not a Kill 'Em
Maybe
All shirt.
Maybe like a Rolling Stone shirt or something.
Yeah, okay, bad example. Yeah, but you get my drift, dude. But nonetheless,
that kid Theo got him into Metallica.
Correct.
Yeah.
But and maybe I don't know, maybe on the next podcast before we can do another one, we can cover some of the federal stuff because I'm not very well versed. I know Omar is pretty well versed in the federal stuff.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do we want to bring someone on that is?
I'll be honest, bro.
I was thinking that we could
anyone.
look. I mean, I was thinking we could just kind of go to like Joshua Tree and do some shrooms. I mean.
And that is fucking yes. The colors,
I'll be
colors.
honest. When it comes to the whole Joe Biden Trump, when it comes to that, I think that the country is so divided, and I mean, my personal opinion on that situation is that you've got people that are on the left that are so far left, and people on the right that are so far right, and everybody on both sides are digging their heels in, and nobody wants to compromise on anything. So nothing gets done. So
Look, I'll tell you that it's
Am
split
I-
down the center in my life. I hung out with my buddy Mako. You know Mako.
Garcia, yeah.
Yeah, we hung out
that's
today. He's voting for Biden. I'm voting
Yeah.
for Trump. He's one of my best friends. We hang out all the time. With my friends, it's probably like 60 to 70% Biden, 30% Trump. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. We can have our differences.
You know what though?
of opinion.
Not a lot of people
Yeah.
can do that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
not a lot of people can do that. You got a lot of people that are digging their heels in on both sides.
And they're ending
Sure,
relationships with their own families, bro.
Yeah, I
What
had
kind
a
of shit is
conversation
that?
today.
I feel
on-
fortunate that I can do that, but you know,
Me
Yeah.
too, man.
No,
Me
dude,
too.
you are definitely one of the few that can do that. I've talked with some friends on Instagram that literally have told me that they have because they post a lot of stuff about Trump, and we were talking about something, and they said, hey, you know, I've lost friends and family because of my posts. You know, what's interesting to me is that there's a lot of people that say, you know, that you can't be friends. You know, you can't be family, you can't be friends because of your beliefs. And I think that, you know, this is
I
a
mean,
rough time.
is this politics or like religion? I don't.
Yeah, right. Or
I mean, like,
Yeah.
or maybe like I don't know. Are we at war with each other? Listen, this is policies.
yeah.
Are we that diverged?
You know what though? I
Me and
think a
my
lot of
friends-
people. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are taking it more than that. You know, people aren't even really looking at policies. People are looking at. I think what I've seen on Facebook and
It's more
social media
tribalism, man.
is mostly like it's like if you are for Trump, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are. If you're for him and I'm against him, then I don't like you, and we can't be cool because you know a lot. And I've seen a lot of ultimatums like that, which is it's sad because to be honest, I mean all policies and all, you know, from different administrations from
So to be fair, Trump is more polarizing than any president in Dan's lifetime. I think Bill Clinton was actually polarizing.
well,
No, he was pretty cool.
well,
No,
like
but
I mean,
I understand.
hold on.
I understand that Trump's pretty polarizing, but I don't think it's. I think
He's
part of
funny
it
as
is the way.
fuck, dude, Whit.
I think that the way that he's portrayed is polarizing.
I think that the way I think
He's
that our media
hilarious,
has
though.
I've talked with Edgar. I've talked with you plenty of times about the media, and
Yeah.
I think the problem is the media is not policed enough.
Yeah.
I think that the media, social media, it's the bathroom wall. Like anybody can write on it, and if
It's
you
a
write
Wild
something
West,
that's
dude.
not
Yeah.
right, here's the problem. If I write something and I post something on Facebook that says, you know, Trump did this and this and this, and then it gets 1,000 shares and all these other people commenting and it reaches, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, and then
Yeah.
3 days later it turns out it was false and I retract it, the
it
damage
doesn't
was already
matter.
done.
It doesn't matter because the sentiment was already sent out.
Damage
right?
was
So
already done.
Yeah.
a lot of the information that's put out in the media about politicians is like hearsay, like kind of like being
Yeah.
in high school, right? It's like rumors and connections.
But people
And
believe it at face value, which is
Sure.
bullshit, and that's one of the
But
major-
here's my thing. I didn't even fucking vote for the guy, but I know that there are things that he's done that I agree with policy wise. At the end of the day, like I'm very anti new war, and he has not got us into new conflicts, and I appreciate that to a level that I can't even like describe. Lately, he's talking about opening up the market so that we can buy pharmaceutical things from other countries at a lower cost.
Yeah.
These kind of things matter to me, more so than any of the little bickering about how he's
Yeah.
like he's a dictator and he's taking away our like constitutional rights. And I don't see it play out in my life.
The
Well,
character
so-
assassination part.
Well, back to the media part that I was going to say, because that ties definitely into what you were saying, is that like what everybody gets their news from is from social, pretty much dominantly social media. So when you've got social media and other media outlets that are focusing on this right here, you know, they're giving you that little outlook that this little outlook of what it is, they're not giving you the full broad spectrum of everything. So they're giving you their slant on it. So it's kind of like if you have the truth right here, but then you have this person putting a filter on it, and then this side putting a filter on it, and then this side putting a filter. I feel like every truth that we see online, there's so many filters on it. It's like fucking Snapchat. So,
but
like,
they want it to be so one-sided that you can't even have a conversation. So for example, no matter what, I've had so many long conversations with my buddy, and at the end of the day, he's still voting for Biden because he still agrees more with that side policy-wise. He's willing to say that certain things that Trump has done is good, the pharmacy thing or the no getting into more wars thing, compared to the last administration who like fucked up Libya, was about to fuck up Syria. So
one of the hardest things. Go ahead.
So he admitted that. But he still is more towards the left, and that's okay. So we have our differences of opinion, but we don't demonize one another.
I love that you have that relationship with someone.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you can have a difference of opinion, you can have a healthy conversation, and still at the end of the day, maybe you can disagree on stuff, but you can still be friends. I think one of the big problems is nowadays you've got so many young people who are very influenced. And there's a lot of people putting ultimatums out there that are saying, like, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you're not with us, you're part of the problem. And that's a big, and people are getting. But
look, I'm not into getting bullied. That's like you're trying to bully people.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, you're not with me? Well, fuck you. I'm gonna hurt you. Like, don't.
There was a lot of that going on. Like, if you're not with me, or if you're not speaking out about this, then you're part of the problem. And I was like, bitch, you don't fucking know me. Like, if I'm not speaking out, maybe it's because I'm a musician and I don't want to talk about politics online. I definitely. This is probably one of the most political live streams I've ever done in my life because
it's educational. And what's funny is I don't know Omar to be he's not a conservative. Remember, I was telling you this offline. He is probably as close a true definition of a libertarian that I know personally. I mean, I'm
a social libertarian. I'm an economical libertarian.
And I'm politically orphaned. Like, I'm basically been abandoned for years, and I don't know my place. And it's also because of my conflicting philosophies and views on life and stuff like that. I don't fit in on each side. And I'm kind of like, I know, it's like I'm not, like, it's like being Chicano, Whit. You're not Mexican enough. You're not American enough. You're like, me too. You're like, okay. You're like,
hey,
bitch,
I'm
from California.
I'm an Aztec warrior, eh?
Fuck.
Hours.
All right, y'all. Well, let's do a follow-up. This was great. We went on 3 hours. This is probably the longest I've done.
Yeah.
And Omar, thank you again. I love you, my brother. We're going to meet soon. We're going to have some beers.
Sons of bitches, I got to work in the morning.
Oh, shit. You do?
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta go work that COVID.
Good luck, man. And God bless you if you believe in one.
Fuck off. Good job.
All right, man. Remember, everyone, take care. Wash your hands. Drink beer. Worship Satan. Listen to Slayer.
That's right.